Welcome to the HorseFrog podcast. I'm Kamran.
And I'm Billy.
Billy, what would you say we do here?
Well, we like to dig deep into a bunch of books and shows and movies that we love.
In excruciating detail, right?
In excruciating detail. And we like to talk about things that we like about them, what they make us think, and what we learn from them. And a lot of times we're going to go off topic, but we're going to bring it back in. Basically, it is just two guys hanging out talking about their favorite stuff. And it's not meant to be a replacement for anything. It's meant to be a companion to anything that we're talking about, any shows, any movies, any books that we're talking about. And we really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. Hopefully you'll enjoy the show with us.
One final note before we begin the episode. If you would like to support our show, we have a Patreon set up. You can find the link at horsefrogproductions.com. You can also email us with any feedback at contact@horsefrogproductions.com. Depending on the platform you're listening from, it may also be in the episode description. Today, we are covering The Boys, the Amazon Prime show, Season 2, Episode 4. As is tradition, we give an NSFW warning prior to episodes of this show. This show is intended for a mature audience and has extreme violence and some scenes of sexual misconduct. If these topics upset you, then we do not recommend you continue listening. We have some corrections and additions today. Last episode, the Deep was talking to Eagle. He was freaking out after the information about the Compound V was released. I don't know if it was last episode. It might have been a couple episodes ago. The Deep was ordering pizza or something, and the Eagle made a comment about postmating, and neither one of us could understand what it was.
Right.
One of our Patreon supporters, Dane, reached out to us again.
Dane.
He found an app, Postmate, I believe it's called, and it basically is like a food delivery service. So thank you for that.
Okay. Thank you so much. I think it was in Season 2, Episode 1, when the Deep was in jail and he was sitting in that mess, and we were kind of talking about what was that. And I had read, I believe it was a Reddit, and someone thought it was probably semen after the Mother's Milk comment of the 31 flavors of semen at the Haitian Kings. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
At the Haitian Kings right there. So I think that's kind of seemed to be the agreement of the subreddit group. I wish I could remember the name of the group more properly, but that was, I just fell into that kind of thing. And then I'd also made a loose prediction based on advertising on Amazon. I like you have avoided, I have really worked hard to avoid any advertising. It's just one of the still shots I've seen. And I thought that was the Deep. I think it's their Captain America guy. This guy's got a shield and this beard, and for some reason I thought it was maybe the Deep.
That's Soldier Boy.
Oh, that's Soldier Boy. Okay. So I was curious if maybe possibly that, the Deep might possibly be a bad guy. I will not retract this prediction because I for one would love the Deep to go like Submariner and like just try and unleash a bunch of hell on the world. It'd be pretty interesting to see what he could do if he ever, because everywhere he goes, man, the fish love to talk to this guy. So apparently he could get them together and they could, I'm an underdog guy. I want him to be a villain. I don't know why.
So he could stop world trade. Is that your prediction?
Yeah, he could do something like that. They could do other things too. Think about all the people. There's a lot of peoples that live in Ireland, some fairly sizable places. England, dude, he could really hurt England. Yeah, places like that are pretty big world powers. I mean, think about it. They're still surrounded by water. Okay. So
Japan.
Yeah. He could really do something to them. He could take out some of those reactors that are on the coast there. He could do some crazy stuff.
Okay.
That's just my hope.
That he goes bad?
Yes. And I want it to be bad in a spectacularly great way. I want it to be like a Lord Vader kind of character. I don't know why. It's not going to be that way. It can't be that way, but it could be. He could be somewhat hard.
Yeah, he's going to have to be a clown of some type.
Yeah, that's a fact. But maybe he'll start being taken seriously. I don't know. I don't see it happening yet, but maybe some point in the future. Because this, I think they're going to hang with this show's going to go on for a while, I believe.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. We'll see how that plays out.
Absolutely. Cool. Bring it on.
All right. Episode 4. The episode begins with a woman we've never seen before talking about communication. It looks like it's some type of interview. There's this wood paneling behind her. We'll see this a couple times this episode, this scene.
Yeah.
She's telling a story of how she was dating someone and he proposed to her. At the rehearsal dinner, her father was talking to them about setting up a 529 account for their kids. The husband said that was crazy. They weren't having any kids, which was news to the bride-to-be. She says the caterer was cool, but the hotel they were going to hold the reception in kept their deposit. Then she finishes saying, so yeah, communication. Yeah. And
Oh,
it sounds like they didn't go to a pre-marriage counseling session or get a book. There's all these books that you can work through 51
yeah,
questions to ask before you get married. It's
exactly.
pretty important to have these
Yeah,
conversations before you get to that point because,
absolutely. Finances,
yeah,
other things like that. Yeah, there's a lot of things. Yeah,
children, finances, religion,
absolutely.
where you want to
Absolutely.
live, how you want to live,
Yeah,
all that kind of
to name
stuff.
just a few. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. The HorseFrog marriage counseling book.
There we go. Along with the marriage counseling, we can also offer the marriage. What was it, the wedding chapel? You know, so we can combine the marriage counseling with the wedding chapel.
Oh man, the ordained
So,
HorseFrog chapel
yes,
counseling sessions available upon request.
coming soon near you.
Right.
Not really, but hopefully.
We see Frenchie's in a filthy bathroom, smashing some unknown pill up using the side of a pocket knife, and then he subsequently snorts it. There's some French rap music playing loudly in the background. After he snorts the powder, he's looking at himself in the mirror. We can see someone walking by in the background looking at him. I can't quite make them out, but it may be MM. Do you agree?
I agree. I backed it up a couple times and looked, and I'm going to go on the man. You know, it looks kind of like him, but the mirror's real dirty. But the mannerisms, he's got that. You know, it's just something about the way he carries himself.
The shoulders, to me, that's what kind of,
something very specific to me gives it away as MM. I'm pretty sure it is.
Right. Kimiko is watching the Vought News Network. The anchor is talking about the senseless attack on the East Park housing project. The headline reads, East Park super terrorist identified as Kenji Miyashiro. The anchor says the attack left 59 people dead and over 100 injured. That's pretty crazy, that level of collateral damage. Well, it's not even collateral damage. This is actual damage that she was doing.
Yeah, she just attacked a bunch of folks just straight out, and but she just kept popping floor after floor like it was just nothing. There's just boom, boom, boom.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I talked again about what an amazing shot that is.
It is. I really like that one.
There are a few moments in this that do kind of stand out a little bit, but it's a little bit slower episode. It's a more laid back, subdued episode.
Exposition heavy.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely exposition heavy. It was like Tarantino wrote the dialogue on this one, folks.
Yeah, but
not as interesting as Tarantino's dialogue.
Yeah, there we go.
Sorry, I'm not trying to compare anyone to the great Quentin Tarantino.
The anchor goes on to say that Kenji was radicalized by the extremist group Shining Light Liberation Army. Witnesses who got a glimpse of the killer described him as dead-eyed and unemotional as he rampaged through the apartment building.
The thing about the Shining Light Liberation Army, I know we talked about them. I actually looked them up to see if it was anything real, and they're not. They were just fictionalized. It's just one of these things for the show. So, but I did check it out as well to make sure that they were just for the show.
Okay, cool. I have still not checked to see if 1-888-0-CRIMES is a real number yet. I was trying to remember. There was a lingering thing.
It's what it is.
I still need to go do that. Yeah. I think we've cut all the other strings that we've got.
As well as they've done everything else on this show, I'm going to make a large assumption that, yes, it probably leads to something.
We can see that Kimiko is crying. Frenchie comes and sits next to her under the table where she's sitting. He tells her it wasn't your fault. Frenchie tells her to look at him. When she doesn't, he tells her again to look at him. She turns to him and they look at each other for a moment. Frenchie goes in for the kiss. She immediately grabs him, slams him up against the wall, grabbing him by the throat. He stammers, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. I was just... She lets him go and he runs out of the room, gasping for breath. This is a bad move on his part. I really can't imagine what he was thinking. You know, she's mourning her brother's death, and this is when he wants to make his move, and he had to get high to do it. I
don't even think it's a matter of he had to get high to do it. Frenchie looks like he's been high for a while, like days, kind of high here. So it's not just this one moment. It's just a lot of things leading up to this. I feel as and drugs also and bad living can help you make spectacularly bad decisions.
Mm-hmm. Right. In the command room for the Seven, Homelander is watching NNC. It's breaking news, and the headline reads, Stormfront saves New York from soup terrorist. The anchor is saying no one can debate that New Yorkers owe their lives to the brave actions taken by Stormfront. Earlier today, Stormfront made an appearance at a New York City park. Homelander is nervously shaking his leg as he sits and watches the broadcast. He really looks bent out of shape now that Stormfront is stealing his spotlight.
Big time.
Stormfront is live streaming this live streaming stuff. Yeah. She says, how many more people have to die, you guys? I've been shouting up and down the hallways at Vought. And you know what they're doing to stop another attack? Jack, let's show Vought what they have to do. Tomorrow morning, Vought Square. Be your own hero. Make your voice heard. I am counting on you to show us the way. Don't let me down.
You think Vought writes her script, her anti-Vought rhetoric there?
It's really an interesting question. I've been thinking along these lines for some time because she says Mr. Edgar told her to come in.
Yes.
He had to know what type of person she was. You don't just automatically get a 1.8 million person audience live streaming. Yeah. You build that up over a period of time.
Yes.
And that has a personality backing it. It's not like this was an unknown when they put her in this position.
Yes.
I really don't know if they're being written for it. She's so snarky, and it just seems like her personality.
And even if it's not written by her, I think Edgar's smart enough to, even if it's not, he knows what he's getting and he wants it. And he knows this is good for their public image right now. Because even if they support her, they're still supporting Vought. It's a win-win.
Right. And towards the end of this episode, there is a comment that she makes that will come back to this exact statement you just made. The win-win.
Nice.
Yeah. Homelander stops shaking his leg and he leans forward. We can hear him clenching his fists.
Love it.
Yep. We'll call it the Rutger Hauer Creek.
Okay, we're gonna have to we'll work on coining that.
I don't know if that's we'll have to dial that in.
Rutger. We can Rutger it. You can say because that's too much of a mouth. For some reason, Glenn Close they're both short names. It works great. But for some reason, Rutger Hauer is kind of like it's kind of clunky in the English. That guy's German or something.
So on that point, when I introduce myself, my last name has 3 syllables. It's my first name's 2 syllables and then last name 3.
Right.
It's always very clunky trying to do a nice, clean introduction because when Tom Jones introduces himself to you.
See, I'm like you. I have a 2-1-3. I have this, and it's kind of like there's some power. It's really nicely thought out. It's a nice groove to it.
2-1-3.
It's not like the serial killer one either. It's not it's not like the camp, Henry Lee Lucas. It's not like those degenerate kind of what, it's the single syllable threes,
Why do they always have
there's 3 single syllable names and they're always that's like oh my gosh, did you just name your son to make him a serial killer?
That's crazy. We see Homelander do an epic landing in the woods outside a cabin. He walks into the cabin and sees Madeline standing there. She says, there you are. I was beginning to worry. She's wearing a revealing nightgown and is carrying a glass of milk. She walks up to him and puts her hand on his cheek and says, oh, I've missed you so much. Are you thirsty? She takes 2 fingers and puts them in the milk, then puts them in his mouth. He begins sucking on her fingers, and she tells him that he's her good boy. He kisses her.
Seriously milking it there, huh?
I see what you did there.
Thank you. But the other thing, I forgot about this, even though I've seen this season before. How did you feel? How have you felt when you see Elizabeth Shue? I completely forgot about that. I was like, what? I was like,
I remembered what was going on here.
I did once I saw her, but I forgot about it until I saw her kind of moment.
I remembered it. This was one of those things that I kind of remembered. And it was like,
no,
I don't like it. I don't like it.
Fortunately, we don't. Yeah.
We'll dig more into that later this episode.
Yeah. I don't want to get into it, but we're going to have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those. That's one of those put your seatbelt on. We're going on a bumpy, weird path.
I'd almost rather talk about the deep again rather than talk about this.
Yeah. We are taken to the memorial wall at the East Park Housing Project. Butcher walks up. He's wearing a hoodie to disguise himself. Mallory is there. There are pictures of the victims and notes to them on the wall. Mallory says, I ever tell you about my recurring dream? I'm on stage, alone, at Carnegie Hall. The audience is made up of every poor bastard who got killed by the superheroes. Butcher asks, what are they doing? She says, nothing. They're all just watching me, waiting for me to do something.
For some reason, you've seen American Werewolf in London, right?
No.
Oh, you've not seen that? Okay. Well,
I haven't seen that one or the Paris one either.
I've not seen the Paris one. I always am leery of sequels that are decades later, but in the original, part of the curse for the wolf person is that they have like the dead people kind of haunt them. And there's a scene where he goes into a theater and there's the people that are his victims. And they're not like being mean or harsh to him. Some of them are being kind of mean to him because they're, some of them are saying kill yourself and all this stuff. But it's very interesting. So it kind of just stirs up that imagery, dead people in a theater talking to me. That does happen in American Werewolf in London. So that's why I was asking.
Mm-hmm. I seem to have a recollection of somebody else talking about this as well in some other movie, but it doesn't come to mind right now.
Cool.
I'll have to try and think on that.
Okay, cool.
Butcher tells her, we hit a dead end on Raynor. I'm sorry. She says, I don't want to hear sorry. Sorry's not an option. We can't have anonymous skull exploding assassins walking around.
Right.
What if they hit the speaker next or the president? She reaches in her purse and pulls out a manila envelope, then hands it to him. Butcher opens the envelope and finds the Budweiser ad with Liberty on it. This is the same ad Mallory was looking at in the last episode.
Yeah.
It's got an address written on the back in North Carolina.
Yes.
Butcher says, you mentioned her before. Mallory says, second tier soup, active in the 70s. She was all over Susan's private server. Get Marvin to talk to this Liberty. Address on the back, North Carolina. I like how she refers to MM as Marvin.
I know. I really like that too.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I like that, but it's very endearing for some reason.
I think it's because she's using his formal name where everybody else uses MM.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's using as a military person, she's using his first name instead of his last name.
Yes.
It kind of
well
makes me feel like they're closer in a way.
That's why it has that personal feel to it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Butcher tells her, all right, we'll see what we can find. He begins to leave. Mallory tells him to wait. She pulls a piece of paper out of her pocket and says, I found Becca, or at least our best guess where she is. Vought facility, armed to the teeth. Won't be easy. Butcher says, we had a deal. I didn't come through. She says, Butcher, I'm just giving it to you. It's my fault you stopped searching for her. I put a target on Homelander's back and pointed you right at him. I didn't know Becca was still... She pauses for a moment and says, it'd be good to have one less person in that audience staring at me. Butcher reaches out and takes the paper. He leaves without saying anything.
And especially after their last encounter, this is definitely a different Mallory here, isn't it? Very,
yes.
Yeah, she's very, very more personal here.
Okay, so you're referring to the parking garage?
Well, even the parking garage and even her house in season 1, which I understand even the anger there as well. But, she's, personally, she's more driven by, she's almost like Butcher, but just more turned inward as opposed to pushing out on other people. It was more I think her anger or her hatred, it was turned internally, possibly, over the death of her over her grandchildren, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that will do something to you.
Yeah.
Now, there is one thing that I'd like you to take into consideration here. The parking garage, between then and now, there was the incident where they're on the yacht and Butcher was supposed to deliver Kenji to her.
That is true.
And they were talking relatively well to each other at that point, right? So at whatever they cut away from in that parking garage, between then and that phone call.
And Susan was still alive too at that point.
No, because
was she already dead by that? Oh, she was dead by that point.
She was dead because the funeral was when they were talking in the parking garage.
Okay, that's right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Homelander and Madeline are sitting on the couch watching Taxi Driver. Robert De Niro is on a rampage in the movie. Homelander points and says, "See, you get disrespected over and over and over. That's what happens. I mean, how much is he supposed to take?"
Again, thank goodness for X-Ray, because the Amazon feature of X-Ray, but it's this is Homelander's go-to movie when he needs to relax.
Wow.
What does it say about him? I think, and you know what's funny, when it lists it like that, you can kind of see himself as the guy that feels that he is put up on, even though it's like he's not really put up on at all. Homelander, sorry, Travis Bickle is, but Homelander is not Travis Bickle, the De Niro role in Taxi Driver. Not trying to be confusing here, but you know what I'm saying. I feel he sees himself in that put up on role.
Okay, let's play a game. What movie do you put on to relax?
It's not Taxi Driver. That's that's a fact. I would almost rather watch a Quentin Tarantino movie that I love. It's way more. That's way more exciting. De Niro is just. It's a Scorsese and De Niro combination. That's such a gritty movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's still such an uncomfortable movie. There is so much uncomfortableness in that movie.
Well, I agree, but I'm asking you specifically. What's your go-to movie? Yeah,
I don't know. I'm a weird guy, dude. I watch weird movies. I put on things like chilling movies. I don't know. I like long movies. I just watched like Good, the Bad, and the Ugly the other day, and Lawrence of Arabia the other day. And I find them cool. They're not necessarily relaxing flicks, but I don't have relaxing flicks I watch. I do have some like junk television I will watch, like old news radio or Kids in the Hall. Some stuff like that. That's kind of comfort food television. But that's what I would put on for more. Just if I want to laugh, I know I'm going to laugh, and I don't have to pay much attention to because I've seen it. I'll watch television like that sometimes, but
okay.
I don't throw on Taxi Driver unless I'm wanting to be immersed in the sleazy underbelly of New York, which I don't even want to be immersed in that in any way, shape, or form. Anyhow.
So you don't find yourself just kind of having a go-to when you can't really think of anything else. You're just like, I'm just going to throw this on for a little bit.
Well, I'll sometimes throw. I take that. I think one of the ones that I will sometimes toss in, is I do love Winter Soldier, Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Okay,
that's a real one I love to throw in because it's fun, and I've seen it. I know what's going to happen. It doesn't bother me. It's so great, but it's a go-to and I enjoy very much because it's cool. I love Captain America, dude. And I love Bucky. I'm sorry, the Winter Soldier. I love that dude. I love both of them. That's a compelling story arc there with the best friends, Manchurian Candidate style against each other. That's an awful thing. I love it. I'm sorry. Have you ever seen Manchurian Candidate? When they reference Bucky as the Manchurian Candidate?
I have not watched the Manchurian Candidate.
You ought to. It's got an interesting history. The original.
And you're not talking about the Denzel Washington one. No, what's the original one?
The original one is Frank Sinatra and Janet Leigh. That's Jamie Lee Curtis's mama. She's also the woman that gets killed in Psycho. And then it also has Frank Sinatra, Janet Leigh. It's got Lawrence Harvey, and Angela Lansbury plays Lawrence Harvey's mother. And she's actually younger than Harvey, but she had an older looking face than him. And so she played his mother. That's how much. But the idea is that these American soldiers in Korea are ambushed and taken prisoner and have a bunch of mind control experiments done on them. And then we have whether they will successfully accept this programming to kill people through like calling them and saying a series of that's why those words that are given to the Winter Soldier sort of so it's exactly like Manchurian Candidate. But the idea was that this movie was the government pulled this movie after Kennedy was assassinated because the idea was that they thought that Lee Harvey Oswald might have possibly been a Manchurian Candidate style killer.
Oh, from the CIA?
Yes, or from whatever, maybe a foreign superpower, whatever. This is this movie. It's just the Chinese, the communist Chinese, who are helping the Soviets together, who have done this mind control experiment. So it's the communists. But it was not released to the general public. It was pulled and then not released until like the 80s. And so I saw it because of that. And it's just a great movie.
Okay.
and the history behind it is so much more entertaining than the story anyhow, just because you're like, wow, that's an interesting thought. They pulled it because they thought Lee Harvey Oswald might have been a Manchurian candidate.
Mm-hmm.
So just curious. There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so my go-to movie is The Departed, which
Okay.
when you mentioned that Taxi Driver was a Scorsese movie,
Yeah,
I was
so
like,
you're
oh man,
Scorsese.
The Departed is a Scorsese movie as well.
Yeah.
I also periodically will do Goodfellas.
I didn't know we were talking about just like go-to movies. I thought you meant like something that made you feel good, because I like
Well,
things like Clockwork Orange or The Shining. You know, those are go-to movies for me.
Well, the way I interpreted like what you were saying about what Homelander does, where he just puts it in there,
Oh,
like I interpreted that as like a go-to kind of just like because I
okay,
mean, why else have a
that's true.
I don't know. To me, like a go-to movie is just like you're just gonna throw something in there that you just generally want to
That
watch.
you enjoy it, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a really
Hmm.
yeah. Well, at least Goodfellas is way more entertaining. I love Goodfellas too, but Taxi
You don't think
Driver.
The Departed is entertaining?
I like The Departed, but The Departed is kind of heavy. It's one that I've only seen once. I need to rewatch it.
Mm.
I've seen Goodfellas
Oh,
and
okay.
Casino multiple times. I'm not a huge gangster film guy, but the gangster movies I love are 95% Scorsese.
Hmm.
You know, the other 5% are old school noir. Well, I'll take that back. I do like about a 50. I like old school black and white noir. So I like the old school stuff and some Scorsese, who I guess is now technically old school.
Yeah. I really liked. I mean, there's so many good actors playing good roles in The Departed.
There are.
So Leonardo DiCaprio, he's always awesome. And then Matt Damon out of character playing a bad guy.
Yeah.
That's
Wahlberg's
pretty
great.
cool.
I liked
Well, oh
Wahlberg
yeah,
in that movie.
Mark Wahlberg and Alec Baldwin and Martin Sheen.
Baldwin's, I can't even, I forget. Oh my goodness. Okay. I need to rewatch that movie. I
Yeah, and then
I
Jack
obviously don't remember that.
Nicholson.
I only remember Nicholson and those other younger guys,
Yeah,
okay. I'll rewatch it. It's
and
on
then
Netflix right now.
what's his name? Ray Winstone.
Yes. I love Ray Winstone.
Yeah, and then okay,
I didn't know he was
we've
in
been off
that.
track for a while. Yeah, he's in that.
Sorry
Okay,
that
so
we're
we've
way
been
off
off
track.
track for a while, but I gotta do one last thing. So I was thinking about this the other day. The Ray Winstone thing reminds me of it. Have you seen that movie Sexy Beast?
Yes.
And so like he's in that, and I was thinking I can't remember what we were talking about, but Ben Kingsley
Oh, Ben Kingsley is so
in
menacing in
that
that movie.
movie
Oh my
is just
word.
out of control.
He is way out of control,
In
movie.
that movie, dude, it's so bad. Yeah,
Ooh, good. Hey, nice come around. Oh my word.
if you haven't seen that movie,
Nice come around there, dude. Sexy Beast, yes, absolutely. English, because you and I have a penchant for English crime drama to begin with,
yes.
and that is got some other people in it. I can't name their names, but I think it's Brian Gleason, I believe, is the other character, and I'm really reaching on that one. If I got that name right on that, I hope I did. But is the other main character in that movie? He's one that you'll recognize. Maybe Brian or Brandon Gleason. I can't remember. I think it's Brandon Gleason.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. But he's the other character in Sexy Beast. But it's been decades. I need to go back and watch that movie too.
I do. It's been a long time since I've watched it. I just remember Ben Kingsley was so good. I was stressed out after the
Oh,
scenes with him when
oh my
he's turned
word.
on. I was like, this dude
Okay,
is
okay.
on another level of aggression.
Now you're going to make me even go a weirder one on you.
Okay.
We're going to Ben Kingsley this one. Okay. Have you ever seen the one with Sigourney Weaver called The Lady? Oh my word, I can't remember the title. I'll look it up here in a minute. But Kingsley, she's got Ben Kingsley hostage, and she's convinced that Kingsley has held her and done things to her over a period of time. And he is claiming his innocence while her husband is also thinking that Kingsley is innocent.
I have not heard. I've seen this.
Death and the Maiden, 1994 film, Kingsley and Sigourney Weaver. Very intriguing film you need to see with Kingsley and her. She's fantastic. Ben Kingsley's amazing. He's such an amazing actor. From Gandhi to the Sexy Beast to this, you're like, oh my goodness, what a madman. So go ahead, we'll continue.
Madeline has her hand on Homelander's knee. She says, everybody respects you. Homelander says, terrorist was my save, not hers. It was mine. He's doing the nervous thing again with his leg. He's shaking his head. Then he exclaims, what? Now that media whore is the face of the seven? I guess he didn't get the memo that girls get it done.
I did not see him on that junket, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to go off track again. There was a movie that had Hank Azaria in it.
Okay, I love that guy.
Let me think through the cast here. It had Julia Roberts. It had Catherine Zeta-Jones. It was kind of a love story, but the reason I'm mentioning this now, Hank Azaria was in it, and Catherine Zeta-Jones' character has an affair with him in the
Okay.
movie, and he has an accent, and he keeps saying junket, but with his accent, he's saying honket.
Oh, wait. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's American Sweethearts or something like that.
That's it. That's it.
Okay.
Yes,
That's what
American Sweethearts.
doesn't that
Yes,
have Christopher Walken as the insane film director that's like the ex-Vietnam vet or something?
yes, I think so. Yeah.
It's a John Cusack also. That's what it is. Yunkin. Yankees.
The mention of the junket made me think of that, and so the honket. Yeah.
Hank Azaria is fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
He was good. We need to stop because I'm just gonna keep going, man. What was it? Along Came Polly. He was the instructor, the scuba instructor. Ruben, you are for scuba. You remember?
I haven't seen.
And then he like lifts Ben Stiller's fiance
Word,
while they're on vacation.
Oh my gosh, I can't hardly remember that movie. I have a hard time with those movies where we torment Ben Stiller mercilessly, like that one. And that what's the something about Mary? I can barely make it through that. I can barely make it through that one. And what's the one where he gets married and he's like with the crazy blonde girl? And she is just out of her mind, drunk all the time, and they're partying on the beach. Is that Along Came Polly? No, that's the one with him and Jennifer Aniston, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, this is one where he gets married to some. It's like they get drunk married or something like that.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that one.
But
that was kind of his brand for a while.
It is. It's like, how can we torment Ben Stiller? And it's because he takes it so. The Heartbreak Kid. A Heartbreak Kid.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen that one.
Okay, actually. Yeah. He has a short fling with a woman. It's Malin. Oh, it's Malin Ackerman. She's the young woman that's plays the Night Owls. She hangs out with the Night Owl in Watchmen.
Oh, okay.
That girl. So she's out of her mind, and that. And he marries this woman and finds out that she's crazy, and she's really hard to. It's really funny. You might like it if you like those kind of movies. I have a hard time because they're so uncomfortable. I have a hard enough time making it in the sex scenes in this show, so I can.
Well, those are two different categories.
Those are, but they're almost as uncomfortable to me.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Meet the Fockers. That's another one where he's being tormented by Robert De Niro.
That's a little bit. I like that one because that has one of my favorite lines about the champagne. He wants the champagne. He goes. He's at the Walgreens trying to buy some champagne. He goes, "Well, what do you got?" He goes, "I got some mums." He says, "Well, what can I get for $100?" Because you can get a whole bunch of mums for $100. But that's a really funny. That's a good movie. That's really good.
Okay, we need it. We need it.
Yeah, we do.
I mean,
how far have we gone off
there? Yeah. So girls get it done. He was not at the junket. We're moving on. The junket. Homelander shook his head and then he exclaimed, "What? Now that media whore is the face of the Seven?" Madeline says, "No, she's not. No, you are." Homelander says, "Come on." And it's not just her, it's the entire team. Madeline says, "No." He argues, "Yes, it is. It's a whole chain of weak links. It's very hard not to take it personally." He lays down on the couch and puts his head in her lap. She says, "Oh, I know. She shushes him. He says, "I'll tell you one thing. You wouldn't put up with this. One little raise of the eyebrow and you would have knocked them all back in line."
Yes, she would have.
Yeah, she was doing a really good job of keeping things together, more or less.
Absolutely. Yeah. Apparently a lot better than we thought she had done. Because with her gone, this place is going crazy.
She says, "Yeah." He says, "God, I miss that about you." He tells him, "You don't need me to do that. The Seven is your team. You nurtured them, you watered and fed them." He agrees. She continues, "Yes, and if they can't respect that, or you, well, it may be time to tear out the weeds and start all over again." All of a sudden, Madeline starts making noises like she's in pain. We hear some really disgusting noises as Madeline transforms into the balding, sweaty soup known as Doppelganger. Homelander sits up and won't look at him. He tells him to change back. Doppelganger apologizes, saying he can only hold shape for so long before it hurts too much. Homelander yells, "Change the back now, Doppelganger."
I am assuming that is why he is always sweaty, It hurts him to make the shape shift.
That's a really astute observation.
Well,
It probably takes a lot of work.
yeah, and he's been doing it for, we're assuming, a while, because we know that Homelander kept Becca prisoner for a few hours. So
okay, so I shouldn't call him the sweaty balding man. It's not fair to him.
Well, he is, but well, he is, because that's his descriptive. I can imagine this guy gets some jobs also playing some really, aspiring and budding serial killers, kind of characters.
Yeah, John Wayne Gacy all the way, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. So
that's the character right there.
So he is the balding, sweaty guy, absolutely. But he has a reason for being the sweaty guy here, at least. Maybe nowhere else. He also reminds me of Joe Spinell from Maniac, which is an old slasher film. He's got that sweaty thing going too. So it's a Tom Savini's bloody bloodbath affair there.
Doppelganger really struggles, but manages to change back to Madeline. Homelander carefully turns to check if Doppelganger has changed. Madeline opens her arms and says, "Yeah, it's okay. Come here. It's all good. Oh, my little boy, come on." Homelander lays back down. She tells him, "It's okay. I love you. I love you. You're the most powerful man in the whole wide world, and there's nothing that you cannot do." What do you think Doppelganger gets out of doing this for Homelander?
Besides getting to live, he's got a pretty sweet pad there.
So you think he's under threat of violence?
I think anyone that's close to Homelander lives under an imminent threat of violence. That guy is one tantrum away from you living or dying, or several people living or dying.
Okay. Back to the boys in the Haitian King's basement. Butcher is preparing for an incursion into the Vought compound. He has quite the arsenal laid out before him. I can see he has a bunch of IDs and cell phones as well. is talking to him. He says, "Storming an off-the-books Vought compound alone? Butcher, how is it possible that you're dumber than you look?"
And I love the way MM talks.
Mm-hmm.
The way that rolls off his mouth is just he says it. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's great.
I just love it, dude. I love the way he says these things to him. How is it possible you're even dumber than you look? It's like, good question.
Mm-hmm. Butcher looks at MM and says, "Mate, it's Becca." MM says, "No, but win or lose, you ain't coming back." Butcher smiles and says, "Course I am."
Nice.
MM says, "Are you picking up?"
Nice. I could feel it.
You picking up Tyrone vibes from Snatch?
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just...
Your race car driver, Tyrone? Course I am.
You know what's so bad is I was showing that to my lady love, and I was showing her Snatch.
Yeah.
And then she's the guy, she points out to the fact that one of the other guys from the pawn shop, that's the guy that plays Morgan in The Walking Dead.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my goodness, why did it take me so long to spot that? Because he's so it's the accent, and he looks so different. He's so much more cool and together looking in Snatch, because he's cool and together in Snatch for the most part.
Wait, hold on a second. He's more together in Snatch than The Walking Dead?
Well, wait. At first,
you said that. I think it's the reverse, isn't it? He's like a clown in Snatch. The idiotic things those two do.
Well, they do get into the idiotic, and they are the comic relief. But it's like Morgan is not together at first. He's lost his mind, and with reason, But Morgan does come back on, all kung fu style, like David Carradine. He's like Kane, wandering the earth. It's like he's doing it in the Walking Dead world, though. So
yeah.
But so no, he does become a lot more together, but they are the comic relief, yes, along with Benicio del Toro in that movie. Man, we are assigned it all over the place tonight. Okay, I'm not griping. I love it, but my word, it's like playing ping pong or tennis with you. It's like serve.
Yeah, I know, dude. We're just gonna keep. It's like a deeper rabbit hole every level.
I know
it. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Go continue, brother. Please.
MM says, "That's bull." Butcher tells MM, "Look, it's not like Vought's going to let us settle down in Orlando. We got to get gone and stay gone." MM asks, "What about us? We're the Spice Girls, right?" Butcher walks up to MM and says, "You're in charge now. Mazel tov." He claps MM on the shoulder. MM fires back, saying, "Mother I don't want to be in charge. Matter of fact, I don't even want to be here. I gave up my family for this, for you. When do I get them back? And he's got some great points. If he did want to be in charge, he would have done so in Butcher's absence already.
Yes, absolutely, he would have.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Butcher says, you find this Liberty slag, see what you can rumble. You jump through a few hoops for the Colonel, and she'll help you the same way she helped me. She always liked you more anyway. I had to look up slag since I wasn't sure exactly what it meant. In slang, it means a lewd or promiscuous woman. Pretty much what I expected from him.
Now, do they not drop that in Peaky Blinders at all? That's a perfect show for them to drop that word in there. And I watched the first 3 seasons before I kind of lost. I've lost my interest at this point, but I don't think they ever dropped that word in there. But that's a word I'm very familiar with.
Thomas Shelby doesn't really. I would expect it from Arthur, maybe.
Sure.
Because he's got such a foul mouth until he finds religion. But Thomas Shelby, he speaks very intelligently. He doesn't really talk like that.
Yeah, Tommy is very, because I love that dude to begin with. Now, let me say,
yeah,
I didn't quit watching the show because the show wasn't good. The show is outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
I've just kind of had my fill of gangster stuff for the moment. I'm sure I'll resume at one point.
It's one of my favorite shows ever.
I get it. I got to the point where he got married.
Cillian Murphy is one of my favorite actors, so
he's fantastic. Yeah. And I got to the point where they're living in the biggest state out in the country, and that's about where I am. So I need to try and press on through.
Mm-hmm.
Did they just release another season?
Yeah, and I didn't even get caught up on the last one because that's another one. The stakes keep getting so much higher every season. I get so stressed out watching it now. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take it anymore.
Do you just have to wait for it to be over?
Well, I don't know, man. I just got to be in the right mindset because it's like I really like those characters, and I don't want to see bad stuff happen to them.
That's
and
true.
The stuff they're up against. I mean, the stakes are super high.
Because I like Arthur as much of a wild man as Arthur is. I still love Arthur, and of course, I'm like you. I like Cillian Murphy an awful lot. I don't know a lot of things I've seen him in except for a bunch of Christopher Nolan stuff, but not a bunch of Christopher Nolan. But he was Scarecrow, right?
He was, and then
he's also in Inception, correct?
He was in Inception. He was in 28 Days Later, not a Christopher Nolan movie specifically, but.
No,
he was in that. He was in Sunshine, which was a Danny Boyle movie,
and I love those Danny Boyle movies. Have you seen? Did you ever see Shallow Grave? That's the introduction to Danny Boyle.
No,
that's also the introduction. That's my introduction to Ian McGregor.
Okay,
it's 3 roommates looking for another roommate. They're kind of professionals. One's a doctor, one's a journalist, and one's a lawyer. They have a big flat. A big apartment that's like a big 4-bed. It's like a penthouse kind of style place, but they need a 4th roommate. A man is agreed upon, and then he overdoses, and then they immediately, and then they find like 500, 600, 700,000 pounds, English money pounds, and so it's a found money movie. It's very much like Treasure of the Sierra Madre. It's like Simple Plan by Sam Raimi. You remember that one? It's the same kind of idea. The bad things that people do to each other over found money. And it's Danny Boyle, right?
Yes.
It was the first movie of his I ever saw. It's fantastic, dude. You want to talk about a nail biter? It's rough. You'll like it.
Okay. All right. We're gonna move on because again.
Good gracious. What page are we on? 6. Okay.
MMS. And what about Frenchie? Butcher says he's been high as a kite for days. He won't even notice I'm gone. MM nods and asks, and Huey? Butcher says, kid's a weeper. Don't want him to get snot all over me jacket.
Wow.
He then walks up to MM, who is just staring at him, and puts his hand up, soliciting a bro handshake. And this is the one that Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers share in Predator. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Pushing too many pencils. There's no arm wrestling here, though. It's more of a...
It's a respect.
Yeah.
It's respect. And, the fact that MM is not even angry here and it gets the respectful bro handshake, dude, that says an awful lot to me. Right there about the respect that he has for Butcher.
Yeah. He grasps his hand. They look at each other without saying anything. Butcher lets go and walks out. This is their goodbye. And as far as both of them know, Butcher's going on a suicide mission.
Yeah. Agreed.
MM turns to watch Butcher go. he gets a glimpse of the Vermont country dollhouse he's been working on, a reminder of his family. In the Vought Tower, Starlight, wearing feminist attire, is getting in the elevator. As the doors are about to close, a hand protrudes into the crack. When the doors open again, we see it's Homelander, and he gets into the elevator to accompany her. Starlight greets him. He doesn't say anything to her, walks to the back of the elevator, and turns to stand behind her. She looks terrified. Homelander reaches out and hits the emergency stop button, causing the elevator to stop moving. Homelander has taken his gloves off, and he hangs them on the handrail inside the elevator cab.
Dude, is that just not super intimidating? I mean, I know he doesn't want to get blood on his gloves. He's mentioned that before. I'm scared by this move.
Everything he's done since he's gotten in this elevator has been super intimidating.
Absolutely. It just drips it. Yeah.
Starlight has now turned to face him and see what he's doing. Homelander takes a deep breath and lets it out, then says, Maeve begged me to spare your life, so I gave you a second chance, and you failed me. Starlight says, what are you talking about? Homelander gets visibly annoyed, shaking his head. He says, no more lies. His hand shoots out and grabs her by the throat and pins her against the wall of the elevator. She's trying to fight back, pulling at his hand that's on her throat. He must be significantly stronger than her. Her strength is considerable already.
Yes.
It's just the fact that she can't even do anything to him. Like, it's orders of magnitude more.
Yes, I used to play this RPG with some friends. It's very much like D&D, but it's DC, superhero game. You made your own heroes kind of deal. So I look at things in their statistics. So their top stat for human strength was either a 5 or a 6. So like Batman, and I'm not picking. I'm saying this out of because Batman is the ultimate human.
Well, yeah.
In every
understood.
In every aspect. As far as spiritual, mental, physical, he is the ultimate human, and I think he's either a 5 or a 6. That's the top human strength.
Okay,
you can push it with some, kind of deal. But Starlight, like she's maybe like I put her like a 7 to 10, and these numbers jump up double for every number. So double over. So she's like 20 to 30 times stronger than us. I would put it, and he is like in the 25. That's Superman's strength range is 25.
And each number is double strength.
Double of the previous one.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So she's 20 to 30 times stronger than a human, and he's thousands of times stronger than she is.
That really puts things in perspective.
That's how I look at it. And I think that's a pretty fair assumption too.
Okay. Thanks. That really helped. Okay.
Okay, cool.
Homelander tells her, you go ahead and scream as much as you want. He takes the fingers of his other hand and begins to push them into her abdomen, about where her liver would be. Starlight desperately asks, what did I do? Homelander has crazy eyes. He says, I told you to kill Hugh Campbell, and you hesitated. She says, I said that we should go to the police. Homelander continues, you disobeyed my orders because you're with him. He pushes his fingers further into her abdomen, causing her to cry out in pain. She yells, you. Hugh Campbell broke my heart, worse than anyone ever has. And part of me wants to blast his face off. So no, I'm not with him. But if you want to kill me because I'm not a murderer and I won't straight up execute someone, then go ahead. When she's saying this, it looks like he may actually have applied some pressure on her neck as they were filming this, because it looks like her face is kind of swelling up and the blood pressure's building up. It looks pretty realistic.
It does. This is a scene that to me feels so real, even knowing the outcome. I'm still not sure if she's going to get out of this situation alive.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just tense up. They sell this so. I mean, I'm like you. It's the blood pumping in the face, and they might knowing these people. You can never tell. She might have agreed to say put a little pressure there so I can I can still talk. I can still breathe. She may want it to look real. You can never tell what people. These people do some weird things to sometimes sell things, and sometimes I'm happy they do things.
Yeah, I don't,
because it sells it.
I don't know how you would make your face look like that without doing something like that.
Yeah, I don't either. I can't either.
Yeah. Maybe it's the secrets that they teach you in acting school. No,
I guess if you try, hold your breath. Yeah, hold your breath like a little kid first. Yeah. So I don't know.
Homelander doesn't move and simply stares at her. She asks him, "So tell me, am I lying?" He squints for a second, then the scene changes. We're outside the elevator doors, and they open, revealing he has released Starlight, and she's gasping for breath. He walks out and says, "You're not lying." In the analytics department, Annika is eating an almond joy as she is working.
And I don't know if it's because I'm starting to be more critical with you. I've been accused of that.
Okay.
Looking at shows more critically recently.
Okay.
I said, I don't watch them. I'm not that bad. Unless they're in my face, I don't see it. We will talk about the Almond Joy connection later, but I just think it's so funny. And, because there's a lot of, like I said, especially the Butcher Huey things, that runs deep through the whole series, the Butcher Huey parallels, especially this episode.
Yes.
In particular, this episode.
Yeah. For those of you that don't remember, Annika and Trevor are the two people we have been introduced that work in analytics. They do comp stat for Vought. In season 1, Annika was tracking Translucent's chip when he was missing. Here, Black Noir walks up to stand next to her. He turns to face her, but doesn't say anything. She stops chewing when she senses someone has approached, and she turns her head to the right to see who it is. When she sees this Black Noir, she jumps in surprise. I mean, I laughed out loud with her reaction. She says, "Oh,
I know it.
Black Noir, hi." And her best response is, "Would you like an almond joy?"
Hey, at least she's super courteous. I love it.
He raises a small trash can to her, and she drops the almond joy in it. He puts the trash can down and then hands her a folded piece of paper. When she opens it, we can see that he has scrawled out the word butcher in all caps. It appears that each letter was traced multiple times with a Sharpie.
I don't know why I find that oddly unsettling, because it's kind of childish. And there's been several things that he does that, because he doesn't say anything. And I don't know if these are things I don't know if I'm applying these to him. I have to be, because he gives us nothing to work with. So I don't know why, but it's like, but the way that he's just scribbled, he could have written, I'm sorry, I assume that Black Noir could communicate at least through writing if he wanted to, if he wished to, but to have just written obsessively, like, I've been working on this for 12 hours, writing the word butcher. Like, it's like, what's the matter with him?
I don't know, man. He's an enigma.
What is the? Yes, he is wrapped in a riddle.
I like that statement that you made about him. It's great. Yep.
Oh, he is so weird, though. Yeah, I love him. Love him. I'm really curious. I'm looking forward to 3. I hope we get more of him.
I do too. Yeah. She asks him, "Do you mean William Butcher?" He doesn't give her any response. She says, "Okay," and gets to work on her computer. She begins working through the info she has on Butcher. She tells Black Noir that Butcher was definitely on the yacht with the terrorists along with some of his known accomplices. She points out the storm tunnels where they lost them. These would be the tunnels they fled into after impaling a whale named Lucy with a speedboat. Do you think the Deep made good on his promise to harvest her blubber?
I don't know. I hope he did, for his conscience sake. They got to have that clean burning lamp oil somewhere. But yeah, I guess I don't know. I hope so.
Yeah.
Maybe. I mean, not for my sake, but at least for the Deep's own sake. He apparently needed that. I mean, he was pretty, and rightfully so, pretty wrought up. That's a pretty, such a grisly scene. That it's so funny though. Oh my goodness.
She tries to dismiss Black Noir, saying, "So yeah, there you go. I'll keep you posted when we find them." He doesn't budge. She says, "Or I could look right now. Just run a facial recognition search." He walks around her and sits down on her left. He slowly leans forward in his chair to view the screen as she's working. This is not unnerving at all. Having people watch you while you're working, particularly this guy, that's gotta be terrible.
Right. Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's bad enough when anyone does it, like you just said, but that guy,
yeah. And
that's gonna be super scary.
And then she says, "Or you can join me," and her voice cracks a bit when she says it. And I was thinking,
I'm proud of Annika.
Yeah, I like her.
You go, girl. You go, girl.
It got me thinking. I was like, what does HR at Vought have to deal with? Because would this qualify as a hostile work environment? I mean, what do you do?
I don't know. It's a good question, because I don't know if that's an It's like,
she's obviously not in a good state of mind when she's around him.
No,
or Homelander. You know,
I'm not watching her around him in a good state of mind. So
yeah,
yeah. So again, I'm going to give some respect to our peeps in
yeah,
Compton.
yeah. Keep it
These
together.
guys were pretty. Keep it together. Keep it together. Don't show the Laker girls.
I'm not doing it. All right, we've gone off track too much. No Bowfinger references. And they're coming
I
up in
will
my mouth.
retract it. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to not do it. All right.
I will
Yeah.
retract. I will retract.
Starlight is I'm resisting the urge. Starlight is incognito in a park.
Are you sure you want to
Yeah.
resist? I'm so sorry. Go ahead,
Got me
please.
thinking of
Start
it
again.
got me thinking of the dog in the high heels walking in the parking lot to get the sound clip. Oh man, that movie.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
That can get short. It need to be watched like a bookend movie on a critique of Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's like there's some. But first off, you know what? One of the things about Bowfinger is also it's a Frank Oz. You know who Frank Oz is, right?
No.
That's the voice of Kermit. That's the voice of Yoda.
Okay. I thought the name sounded a little bit familiar. I couldn't specify like where it was.
So
yeah.
he directed Dirty Rotten Scoundrels and Bowfinger. Okay. So he's got a pretty dark sense of humor. And I can't think I'm sure he's done tons of others. He's guest starred and cameoed in tons of things always because he's such an odd looking fella. But yeah, Frank Oz is fantastic.
Okay, cool. Starlight is incognito in a park. Huey is sitting on a bench waiting for her. She greets him as she walks up and says, "Thanks for coming." He greets her. She looks at him and says, "Oh, you're so bruised." She starts trying to take a look at the bruises on his chest and neck. Huey tells her, "Oh, no, it's fine. It's okay." She asks, "That was all me?" He tells her, "It's cool, really. I mean, chicks dig bruises."
They do?
Question mark? They do? Question mark?
Yes.
He tells her a story about how when he was in the 5th grade, he got a tetherball to the face and a girl in his class brought him Jell-O pops for 2 weeks. He says, "I'm talking way too much." She says, "I could have killed you." He responds, "But you didn't." They pause as someone runs by. She says, "I got your voicemail." He starts stammering and sputtering, finally saying, "Can we just chalk that up to a drunk dial? I'm okay, really. It's just, do you mind if we just don't talk about it?" She agrees to his request, then says, "So, we got the Compound V out there, and Vought is still kicking. So we risked our lives just to make the world way worse." Huey disagrees, saying, "Yeah, but no. That's not true. I mean, these things, look, Annie, they take time." She sighs and asks, "How much time?" Huey gets a call and excuses himself. It's MM. They talk for a bit, and when Huey starts asking questions, MM gets him in line. Huey conveys where MM can pick him up, then hangs up. Huey walks back to Starlight and tells her he has to go. She wants to know what's going on. He asks if he can call her later, and she nods. He begins to walk away, then turns around after a few steps. She looks hurt. Huey asks her, "Are you just going to hang out here?" She says, "Yeah, I can't go back to the tower right now." Huey starts walking back to her, asking what happened. She starts crying and shaking her head. She says, I can't do this anymore." She walks up and puts her head on his chest and starts crying. He comforts her.
Her breaking down is hard because, he was this, she's like where he was last episode, you kind of get that feeling she's almost like right there, Homeland. And on top of that, Homelander almost just killed her. And she's close to breaking, man. And that could almost be a theme running through the whole episode is breaking points, I'm starting to notice the common threads running through the show as we watch them and dissect them.
Yeah. Okay.
Think about Frenchie too. His move earlier, that's a breaking point move. He's just all people are making bad moves here.
Okay. So Frenchie's close. Starlight's close.
Huey was close last episode. He was to where I feel like I feel like he's passed and okay a little bit, but she's kind of to where he was last week.
Homelander's close.
Oh, yeah. That dude.
All right. Next we see MM is in a car speaking with Huey. "Are you insane? She can't come with us, Huey. She's chipped." Starlight addresses MM, telling him, "So, I have a second cousin who lives around there. I could tell Vought that I'm going to visit. Huey jumps in, trying to sell MM. And we'd be out of the city, away from the camera. I mean, no one would see us. MM says, no, even her standing here is dangerous. And that's true. It's risky. There are probably at least 4 cameras filming them as they're talking. Yeah. And if Vought has some type of automated facial recognition software running, that would be bad news for them.
Oh, absolutely. Because, yeah, agreed. And this is true of every statement you just said. Yeah.
Starlight is getting convinced by MM and says, maybe he's right. This is a bad idea. Huey says, if we're going to go knock on some soup's door, don't you think it makes a little bit of sense for us to have one of our own? Look, she's in rough shape. She needs this. MM thinks, then nods and says, you mean you need this? He slyly looks at Huey. Huey doesn't respond.
You know, Huey may need this. He does. But she needs it worse. I mean, again, after all, she was almost just killed by Homelander.
So, right, but...
And MM is correct.
In this context, MM is close to Huey, right?
Yes.
So I think he's more concerned about trying to keep Huey happy as a friend or a colleague.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they've really taken Petite Huey here. He's kind of like he's not the mascot of the boys, you know, and they seem to kind of in a weird way. And he's not just a mascot. He's proven quite effective.
He's the canary.
He is the canary.
A-Train is walking down the hallway at Vought on floor 99. That's the floor where the command room is for the 7.
Yes.
A faceless corporate suit greets him, asking how he's doing. A-Train says, cool, and keeps walking. He seems like he's in a good mood. He's all smiles. Then he sees Shockwave getting in an elevator, and it stops him in his tracks. His smile fades. Shockwave gets a grin on his face, flashes A-Train the peace sign, and enters the elevator. A-Train's mouth is agape. He turns around whispering, oh, to himself. A-Train is now in Ashley's office. Before we get into the scene, I have to take a moment to appreciate Ashley's new redesigned office, and I think it's amazing.
You mean it's no longer 2003?
Yeah, they called and got their office back, so it's been modernized. Yep. Instead of the built-in shelving behind the desk, she has these carved panels of the 7. She has this really cool sculpture on a pedestal in front of the window. It's a human figure missing all of its limbs except for its left leg, and part of his torso is missing. I tried to find out what it was, but I couldn't figure it out. Didn't have much success. Mm-hmm. She has some marble paneling on the walls in front of her desk with some paintings hanging on them. She's got some built-in shelving as well in front of her desk, not behind her desk now, and it's got some built-in lighting in it.
Nice.
Overall, the lighting of the entire room, I think, is better, and it's kind of a minimalist design, which is more in line with my taste than Madeline's office was.
I like that. I do like that minimalist flair as well. It is super nice. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So, begrudgingly, I will say, great job, Ashley. I'll give her the props when she deserves them.
Agreed. And after all, the poor thing could just be suffering from the Glenn Close effect. So we don't know. We'll see. Years will tell.
We'll see.
Time will tell.
Mm-hmm. On a side note, while I was researching this, I came across another piece of information that I was going to mention here. The last episode where the news of Compound V broke to the public, Ashley was speaking with Mr. Edgar in the hallway before he entered his war room to address the situation. After that conversation, she started pulling on her hair, like trying to pull it out. Mm-hmm. This is called trichotillomania, and it's a compulsive desire to pull out one's hair.
Nice. Are you sure that it's not trichophobia? I'm sorry.
Hold on. So wait. Okay, trichophobia is a thing, and it is.
Hell, it's a phobia, so it's related to tricho, so it's hair, I guess. But it's the excessive and persistent fear of hair. This can include fear of hair on the head.
Oh.
But it often involves touching or seeing loose hairs that have fallen onto clothing and body and furniture. So it would more than likely be what you called it, trichotillomania versus trichophobia.
Okay. So far, we have exposed 2 phobias on this show.
Yes.
The mellophobia.
We 3 actually.
Okay.
The acrophobe.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
The fear of acronyms.
Well, thanks for doing that little bit extra research. I
I love
appreciate
those.
that.
My pleasure.
Yeah. A-Train is telling Ashley, don't bull me, Ashley. Ashley says, Shockwave is just here to talk about VOTs for Tots. I swear to God. A-Train says, what the is VOT for Tots? Ashley says, it's a new fitness outreach for toddlers. Apparently, they're getting obese. Who thought this would be a good idea? This is another one of those bullshit corporate PR virtue signals. Solve the food issue if you want to solve obesity.
Right.
That's what's making them fat.
Yes. We give them food. That's the problem.
Yeah.
But the VOT for Tots almost sounds more of a Christmassy thing than, doesn't it? To me, I think of Christmas when I think of toys for tots. So I think of VOT for Tots. I'm thinking of toys for some, just because it's the only thing I can think of with tots.
Yeah, Toys for Tots.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to that. Yeah, and trying to get toddlers to exercise. Toddlers,
please.
Yeah. Okay, and then even if you work out, if you're still eating the wrong food, you're still going to gain weight.
That's right.
So the whole thing's just a waste. It's all for press. Yeah.
And I'm going to resist. So move along, sir.
A-Train says, well, I love fat kids. Use me. Homelander walks in without knocking and says, oh, good, you're here. He makes sure the door is closed behind him. He walks up to them and asks Ashley, you tell him yet? A-Train crosses his arms defensively and asks, tell me what? Ashley doesn't like being put on the spot and tells Homelander, I thought we were going to have a strategy meeting. Homelander gets straight to the point, saying, A-Train, you're out. A-Train asks, out of what? Homelander responds, out of the 7. You did great, but we're going in a different direction, so you're out. A-Train looks at Ashley and says, what the You just said everything was fine. Ashley tries to calm him down, saying, you're going to have a whole year of parades, tribute concerts. You're going to hit the talk show circuit. You're going to have your own reality show on VOT+. The outpouring of love and gratitude is going to be off the charts. She puts her hand on his shoulder. He slaps her hand away and yells, oh, this is bull. He points a finger in her face and yells, you used to get my coffee. Oh, this. I'm not going. Homelander says, A-Train, you can't run. A-Train says, yes, I can run. Homelander interrupts him saying, buddy, you think I don't know what's been going on? It's your heart. I doubt you're even cracking the top 20 anymore. And that makes the 7, me, look pretty ridiculous. Homelander slaps him on the back as he walks past him. He continues, I do want you to know, though, this was really hard for me, okay? It's nothing personal. We'll always be friends, and etc. I was about to compliment Homelander for giving A-Train a soft landing, and then he ends with the statement like this.
Oh, I so love that. So we'll always be friends, etc.
Yeah.
That's so tough. But even when he comes in there, you can just tell, or I feel like you can just feel it's just so nonsensical. But this is also not the first time. Remember, Maeve pointed out that any attack against the 7 is attack against me. So this is twice that Homelander sees himself in the 7 as synonymous.
Right. Homelander gives A-Train a smile and says, attaboy. Homelander walks out.
That's the worst one right there. Attaboy. As it is to rub the salt in the wound on the way out.
Mm-hmm. We're taking to MM, Huey, and Starlight on their road trip. There is a church in the shot, and across the street there's a billboard that reads, that baby you abort might be super. It's quiet in the car. No one is talking. MM is tapping his finger on the steering wheel. Starlight notices this. She then asks if anyone minds if she puts on some music. MM motions her to go ahead, and Huey also agrees. She turns on the radio, and the first thing we hear is Starlight singing, You'll Never Truly Vanish. And that was the song that she sang at Translucent's memorial service.
I believe that truly is her singing that.
I think so, too.
I've been, if I'm not mistaken, I've been informed by someone that was her indeed singing.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, she does have a great voice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty voice?
She says, oh, God. Huey laughs, telling her she has a really good voice. She can do that wavering thing like they do on American Idol. Starlight changes the station again. MM says, vibrato. Another station is playing the same song, and Starlight says, you've got to be kidding me. No. Huey's cracking up in the back. She finds a station playing We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel. How could it have been anything other than a Billy Joel song for this scene?
Exactly. You knew it before she found it. It was,
Yeah.
But the quickest, I will keep this aside minimum. It's a question to you. Do you think Billy Joel is enjoying a resurgence of interest in him possibly due to this? I tried to look it up and couldn't find any hard numbers, but anytime, I would think that anytime they show an interest in something like this, that you'd like to hope that somebody's getting a little bit of a resurgence on that.
I'd be curious what the viewership of The Boys is.
That's true.
I'm not sure how many people are actually watching Amazon Prime shows.
Actually, it's actually pretty. It's a fair amount, I believe. It's now again, this is just kind of caught in a glimpse because I've been avoiding everything, but I think that it is one of their keystone programs of their Prime lineup.
Well, that is true amongst the Amazon shows, but when you take the pantheon of entertainment as a whole, I don't know how many people are actually watching this compared to Friends on Peacock, for example.
Well, you have to also understand as well, now that they've gone streaming, it might be different, but you might be surprised that sometimes those numbers may not be that big. You may only have, I think certain shows like Seinfeld, and even that got super big, even bigger than Friends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what their viewership was at a given moment. I don't think it ever made much more than, a lot of times more than maybe 30 to 50 million people, which is that's significant.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
in a viewership, but sometimes you don't have to even have. But Amazon's got a built-in market, of course, of Prime users.
Right, so, but are they actually watching the show? We'll have to do some research and come back on this, I think.
That's a good question because I think because I know that show Bosch was really popular, so popular for them they kept it on the air for 8 seasons. They made a spinoff for their ad the site called Freevee, which is it used to be IMDb TV, but it's just like their free version of old television shows. So you could watch the new season of Bosch on this new platform of theirs.
Okay,
but for free. Go ahead. We'll go ahead. So we'll look at this.
I'll tell you this: that J.K. Simmons show that just came out.
The Night Sky one.
Yeah, they just canceled it after season 1.
I get that. I understand why.
Okay, you watched it or what?
I tried watching it. I didn't continue it. It's really sad and goes nowhere.
Okay.
I mean, and I've been told that even by the conclusion, it never really goes anywhere. The premise is a fascinating idea. I love it, but it has this deep underlying sadness. Now, maybe it shakes it by the end, but it's so much got this sad overtone that it's kind of, I didn't even want to finish it because I just didn't even know if I cared to know. I didn't know if I wanted to see where it went, where I thought it might go. So,
okay. So to answer your question, we'll have to do more research on the Billy Joel resurgence.
Copy that.
Huey says, "There we go," and starts singing along. Starlight takes over after a while, and Huey stops to watch her in admiration. She looks back at him, and he starts singing along with her. It's very wholesome, hits you right in the feels. It's great to see them able to kind of enjoy this moment and smile with all they've been put through recently.
Oh, yeah. And they both needed it. I think the funny thing is that Huey seems pleasantly shocked that she knows the lyrics to this song. This isn't one that I know particularly well. I know the older stuff, but I love that he's, that they bond, that there's a moment there.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah. Then they get a little rowdy. Huey's kind of beating on the roof of the car, and MM has had enough. He turns off the radio and tells them, hey, this ain't no little Vegas road trip, okay? Y'all ain't on no date either. Just chill. I'm not your damn chaperone. After hearing this last statement, I wanted to look up where MM is from because he's kind of talking like he's from the South a little bit.
Right.
Using ain't and y'all and all this. I searched. This was a mistake. I searched where is mother's milk from, and I should have been more specific because Google informed me it comes from mammary glands.
Oh, that's amazingly funny.
Yeah, but joking aside, he's from Harlem, so maybe his parents were from the South, and he picked it up from them.
It's kind of funny because I had written up there right before I got to where you are that you'd already found the Harlem thing. I thought, oh, he didn't see Harlem. And then I said, oh, you already have it. So I was typing in Harlem because I looked it up. But I have a friend that I work with, and she's from California, and she says y'all. And she said y'all because she thought it sounded so much cooler and nicer than you guys. Just what she said, you guys sounds rude, and it kind of does. You guys, I mean, it's like, but that's kind of what that's what I think that's what they say. But she's like, she goes, I say y'all. I'm like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
good to know. Somebody, I said,
Okay.
you sound Southern. So
Is she saying fixin' to yet?
she says nasty in a way that reminds me of my lady love there. That's got this real Southern twang to it. They put an extra A in that nasty. It's like it goes from
That's
nasty to
nasty.
nasty. Yeah, you know it's wonderful. I'm saying nasty. So, and I heard her do that. I'm like, nice. I said, you sound Southern. And that's what got us on the y'all was the nasty. It's
Yeah.
nice. You know, so
Right.
you notice it too. So thank you. It's an extra syllable to the word nasty. You can't add one there, but they do. And I love it. I love it.
They pass a barn with Homelander painted on the side, only instead of the U.S. flag streaming out behind him, it's the Confederate flag.
Yeah, I love how they always view us here in the South. Ignorant redneck hicks.
Yeah, they're trying to paint a certain picture this episode. I mean, it is a theme of the episode, though, right?
Yeah, and I had read something about their view of who Homelander actually represents too, and it's been verified of who he is indeed representative of.
We are treated to another interview like the one at the beginning of the episode. It's in the same room. A woman is telling the camera, they say if you love someone, you should set them free. But that seems crazy to me because if you love someone, you will never let them go. Never. My Glenn Close meter is in the red with this one.
Would that be a Glenn Closeometer?
Yeah. Glenn Closeometer.
It's in the red. Nice. So,
yeah.
So danger. I agree with the Will. Yes, it's very. Yeah, she's odd.
Mm-hmm.
She is attractive, but she is odd. Whew.
Some of the things she's doing with her face kind of scare me a little bit. Like there's a little psycho in there.
Agreed. Yeah.
She asks, have you heard of the lovers of Valdaro? They were alive like 6,000 years ago, and they were found in this tomb in Italy. These two skeletons with their arms around each other. That's love.
To me, that's like creepy. I couldn't sleep knowing that gal was in the same room as me. You know, she might like... She might do a mother suicide just to be wrapped in your arms. So you better watch out on that one,
She wants
dude.
to be the one they find 6,000 years from now. So they're writing the stories.
Yes.
Yeah. She shrugs and laughs. We see a rope being thrown over a metal wall. Butcher then appears and slides down the rope. This is the wall surrounding the Vought containment area for Becca and Ryan.
It's a pretty impressively large facility there.
It is. Yeah, it's like a Jurassic Park height of a wall, right? Around the T-Rex paddock.
I'm impressed that I think and I also became more impressed with Butcher as he came just coming up over that wall like it wasn't anything. That's what, like 30, that's 3 stories, 4 stories tall. That's pretty tall.
Yeah. I assume he used some type of grapnel hook or something to get up there.
I guess so.
Yeah. I didn't see one caught on the edge, but he had to do something. Yeah. Back to the city with a capital C. This is New York we are talking about. Only that city presumes to call itself the city.
Right.
From Wikipedia, New York City is also known as the city in some parts of the eastern United States. In particular, New York State and surrounding U.S. states. New Yorkers may also use the city to refer specifically to the borough of Manhattan.
Well, they can keep the city and keep it up there from me here in Texas. So,
I used to live in Greenwich.
Okay. Oh, nice.
It was about like a 50-minute train ride north of there, but like 25 minutes if you drove. So it's like right on the nub of Connecticut, right before you get to New York. Like if you look at a map, there's this little like 1 mile section of Connecticut. That's where I was living.
Okay. Was it really pretty up there?
Yeah, in the fall it was absolutely beautiful. When the leaves changed, I remember driving on some of those back roads. It's really pretty. Yeah, nice. Northeast. Yeah. When I was up there, you'd hear the city stuff. So having lived in Texas most of the time at that point, I thought it was a little bit pretentious. But.
It is.
Yeah.
I find it to be that maybe that's just me.
We just lost all New York listeners. All right.
I will apologize, and I will give a quick shout out to New York. In fact, in an odd roundabout way, I have a family friend. It's my brother's really close friend. Is actually like the #1 top 40 DJ in New York.
Okay.
He's actually been in a couple movies. He's been in like Lethal Weapon. He's played as himself. His name is his air name is Elvis Duran. I know his real name. I will not say this, but Elvis Duran is
Oh, wait, he was actually in Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Die Hard. That's what it was. Die Hard. But yes, I've partied with those guys. Now that's one of my brother's really close friends for many years. He's from McKinney.
Oh, okay, that's crazy.
So it was funny. So yes, he just loves it. Like I said, he's been big there for years. He broadcast out of the Empire State Building, and he was there on 9/11.
Oh wow.
Now I haven't seen him in decades, and my brother has, and they stayed in
Mhm.
contact for the most part. But for the most part, this guy's he's becoming kind of internationally known. I mean, he's got he's getting a little you don't really have time to hang out with your old buddies or that don't live in the same state.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it's very funny. So I won't hate too much on New York.
I'll tell you what, though, if you're ever in Greenwich and you want the best sandwich you've ever had, you go to Firehouse Deli.
Okay.
Not Firehouse Sub. This is like a family-owned single deli.
Oh, okay, nice.
Best sandwiches I've ever had in my life.
Nice.
It was like 3 blocks from my house, and I regret not having eaten there more while I was living there.
Here in this small town that I live in, I have found the small mom and pop burger joint that is like amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of these burgers that I can't get the fries with it because I can't finish the burger.
Okay.
And I'm not a small fella, so
okay.
So it's a pretty impressive burger. So
okay, so we're in the city. Frenchie is climbing some stairs to an apartment. He looks like he is heavily under the influence of something based on his loose, imprecise movements.
Yes. Agreed.
He comes up to a keypad on a door and types in the incorrect code. Then he starts banging on the door. Cherie opens it. Cherie is his brunette, light-eyed companion that was kind enough to blow up his first safe house in episode 2 of season 1.
I like that. She was kind enough to blow up his first safe house.
He says, bonjour. She was prompted to.
Yes, she was.
To do that, yeah. She informs Frenchie he smells like a wet dog. He holds up a bottle and asks her if she wants a drink. She indicates she doesn't want any. He moves in for a kiss, and she backs up out of his reach. She says, whoa, who says I'm alone? Frenchie crazily looks for a companion in the apartment. Seeing no one, he goes in for a kiss, and she lets him kiss her. Fast forward, and apparently they have had an encounter of sorts. Frenchie is laying naked on the bed. And it's interesting that he came here after attempting to make a move on Kamiko. Is Sharia's second choice?
You mean they weren't actually wrestling?
No, they were not wrestling.
I'm sorry. I don't know. It's just he's obviously just been out of sorts for a while, and we are. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've really seen it until this episode.
Okay.
Fritz, he's played it close to his vest always.
Yeah.
Even when he's, even when he was always so together in season 1. This season, he's just starting to crack. And think about it, even his own comrades, Huey in particular, the guy, for some reason, they kind of admire Huey because he is their canary, I guess. He's their innocent young guy. They want to keep kind of innocent to some extent. And, and here they have been living underneath this, under a pawn shop for this drug gang, and it's like that's got to be such a hard lifestyle. And he's obviously been up for days partying, doing something. He's dealing with something. Mm-hmm. He could be dealing with the fact. I mean, dude, they look terrible. Think about dealing with all the loss of what Stormfront did. I mean, she killed Kamiko's brother and killed 59 people. Mm-hmm. So that's brutal. That's really tough.
Cherie says, so are you going to tell me what's wrong? Or are you just going to stain my clean sheets with your sweaty despair? Frenchie says, I tried to kiss her. Cherie asks, Kamiko? Frenchie says, her brother died. I wanted to make her feel better. I don't understand this. He gets high on drugs and makes a move on Kamiko to make her feel better?
It's an excuse, dude. It's an excuse.
Okay. Cherie agrees with me, apparently. She asks, you thought a kiss would make her feel better or you feel better? Frenchie says, she was in pain. I wanted to help.
I think that's it right there. I think that's Frenchie's whole driving motto in life is XYZ was in pain. I wanted to help.
Okay.
He seems very driven by this. Like for Huey, even though he tells inappropriate stories, he's trying to make an emotional bond. My father tried to smother me with the Hello Kitty duvet.
Yeah. Okay.
Things like this. There's some kind of, something there.
Okay. She says, you always want to help. He says, so? She says, you think that by saving her, you can make amends for all the people you hurt? Those children that lamplighter burned? Frenchie starts to get up, telling her, you don't know anything. Cherie comes up and sits right behind him, putting her hand on his shoulder to keep him from getting up. She says, look, she's not a kitten up a tree. Just leave her alone. Let her grieve. Frenchie asks, what good does grieving all alone ever do?
I guess that's his answer. I mean, I guess maybe he grieves or tries to help by being with somebody, and when you're screwed up on drugs, that's the quote unquote logical conclusion that this is what Kamiko needed, so, and also we're starting to see, I think maybe the drugs are a bigger symptom of Frenchie's guilt over Mallory's grandkids that, getting fried by the lamplighter. And the drugs, of course, they bring that to the when you're trying to keep it down with that stuff, it does bring it up too. It doesn't, it doesn't go away. So because you're not dealing with it.
It just kind of dulls things, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
We see a news broadcast on the CN1 International News Channel. The broadcast is showing a live protest in the Middle East. I use protest loosely. There is a burned out bus in the background. So not a peaceful protest. The screen reads, protesters demand Compound V be shared with the International Health Organization. Huey, and Starlight are at a diner eating. Starlight is closely observing MM's behavior as he prepares his coffee in a very particular way. In the background, we hear the news anchor saying, meanwhile, at the United Nations, governments from all over the world have voiced their anger at the Compound V revelation. Today, Russia and China referred to the superheroes as weapons of mass destruction and accused the United States of terrorism. Starlight takes a bite of her donut and is really enjoying it. says, you two want a room? She's confused at first, kind of glances in Huey's direction. clarifies, you and the donut. She laughs and says, oh, I'm sorry. It's just, my mom never let me have this stuff. It's just, weight gain in our household was a capital crime. But my dad, he'd take me to Dunkin' on the sly, and he would get me a chocolate cream-filled donut, and he'd ask me to tell him about my day, and he'd listen. For those not in the U.S., she is referring to the chain Dunkin' Donuts.
And I really love how he starts this conversation with her, but he's kind of rude at first. You two want a room? Yeah. But then he goes on. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think he's trying to keep his distance a little bit.
Yes.
Since she's a soup.
I think so.
But yeah, I don't think he's intentionally being rude to her. Like, no, I'm not trying to be. Yeah. says, Baskin Robbins. Every Sunday after church. My pops, he'd always ask for samples. Now, this place had 31 flavors, and that man would taste each and every flavor every time we'd go up in there. There'd be a line all the way out the door. People would be mad as hell, yelling, yo, my man, get your ice cream and bounce. You think that stopped him? Hell nah. He would stand right there and order another sample. My ass was so embarrassed. I'd be sitting there wishing the floor would just open up and just swallow me whole. Man. Of course, now I'd give a year off my life just to be able to see that man going through spoon after spoon just one last time. Starlight asks, when did he? Interrupts and says, 16 years ago. Starlight looks at him for a moment, then picks up her coffee and raises it in a toast to fathers and sugar. Joins her in the toast.
I really love that. That's a really touching moment.
That's another good one. Yeah. As they walk out of the diner, catches Starlight wiping her hands with a napkin. He says, whoa, 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 whoa. Are you dry wiping? She asks, am I what? He motions for her to follow, saying, come here, listen, any part of your body, and I mean any part. When you dry wipe, you're not cleaning anything. You're just smearing all over your skin. Here, got to use wet wipes. There you go. He has taken a package out of the car and hands her one. Starlight asks, you just carry these around with you? He says, damn right.
I really enjoy that moment there too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's really letting loose there. But that's a real honest insight into right there.
Uh-huh. A van behind them is pulling out of the parking lot, and it pulls out right in front of a semi-truck speeding by. The truck collides with the van, knocking it off the road. It scared me, actually. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that scares me too. I was going to say, I love that shot. It spooks me because you're in such a good spot. I mean, they're joking and having a good time as they come out. And then just out of the blue, I mean, you see it drive by and you're just thinking it's just going to pass. And then it has that accident. You're like, wow, that's so realistic. I mean, it felt so real.
Yeah. That's
It really
crazy.
does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it cuts that moment of coolness just short right there, like it would.
Mm-hmm. Starlight sees this accident and, being the hero that she is, begins to move in to help. Stops her. He's saying, no, please, no, no, no. She's telling him they need to help. He tells her, this is not the time to be a soup, okay? We're low key, not with us here. Huey tells her there are a ton of people there. He points out the truck driver is calling 911 already. It'll be okay. Is freaking out, telling Huey this was a bad idea, a stupid idea. They get in the car and leave. Starlight kind of struggles with it. And that's a tough situation to be in. And Huey are right, though. People were already helping, so it's not like they could have really added much to the situation. It's not like this is the bystander effect where someone is in distress and no one in a huge crowd is helping because they assume everybody else is going to help.
Right. And it's also tough to watch just because, she really wants to genuinely help people. And when she can't, you just see it eating at her.
Mm-hmm.
I like that she does such a good job of portraying this. You could see it.
Right. Becca is closing the blinds for the evening. She looks out the window and sees her car door has been left open in the driveway. She goes out to check on the car. When she opens the car door, we hear Butcher say, any place around here without a million bloody cameras? Becca thinks for a moment, then reaches in the glove box. She pulls out some car keys and an ID, then walks around the back of the car. She displays these two items to a security camera that's over her garage, and then she gets in the car. She pulls up to a remote location by a bridge, then gets out of the car and opens the back passenger door. Butcher gets out. They stare at each other for a moment. She finally hugs him and starts crying. Butcher asks her if she's okay and if Homelander hurt her. She says she's fine. Butcher shakes his head and says, I thought you were dead. I stopped looking. I shouldn't have stopped. She says, I couldn't call anybody. I can't imagine what it must have done to you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. They hug again, and Butcher comforts her, saying, no, you've done nothing wrong. He puts his hand on her face and says, look at you, my girl. She nods and says, always. They hug again. She says, Billy, it's not safe for you to be here. If he finds you, he's going to kill you, and you know that. Billy says, I got out of the last scrape all right, didn't I? She says, that was a one-time deal. He wants to know what she said to him. She says, I said if he hurt you, I would kill myself in front of Ryan. And my last words would be, your father did this to me. He seems desperate for a relationship with his son, so it worked once. Butcher says, well, it's a good thing he don't know your tells. She says she wasn't bluffing. He says, I'm going to get you the out of here. She wants to know how. He tells her over the fence the same way that I came in. She shakes her head saying, no, Ryan can't climb that fence. Butcher says, right. He thinks for a moment, then continues. I saw his eyes glow. I thought he might. Don't he got no powers? She says, no. I mean, yes, but I'm not raising him like that. He's processing what she's saying. She goes on. Hey, there's a garbage truck. It comes by the house every morning at 11 o'clock. I doubt anyone checks the hopper. He asks if she's sure it's not a compactor. She's sure. That would be a disaster.
Yeah, it would.
He says, okay, then that's the plan. They kiss, and she says she has to go because they get suspicious if she's gone too long. She tells him to wait there. She'll be back. She gets in the car and leaves. At a motel, Huey is telling and Starlight he got 2 rooms and there are 3 of them, so he'll be bunking with naturally. Says, good choice. Fast forward and we see is snoring. On his side of the nightstand, everything is laid out perfectly. He's got his gold chain, his rings, the wet wipes, his glasses. They're all in their place. Huey's side of the nightstand has a bunch of trash on it. Yeah. And on a side note, stores seem to go on forever.
Oh, dude, there's no break. It's like this. I don't know how they did that, but it's just like one long continuous like snore. It's like it's like he's doing it on the in and the out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, whoa. It's like, wow. Oof.
We can see that Huey is laying there awake. He receives a message from Starlight. She has a vending machine crisis and is asking for advice. At the vending machine, we can see she has chosen an Almond Joy. I was thinking, is this an Almond Joy funded episode after Annika was eating one earlier? And then I saw the second one. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's pretty funny too.
Yeah. Starlight is acting like she's in heaven. Huey walks up and asks if she's eating an Almond Joy, and she confirms she is. He says nobody likes Almond Joy. And I said, whoa,
Yeah.
Huey, take it easy. Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Speak for yourself, brother.
Huey thinks for a moment, then says, Jeffrey Dahmer. That's it. He's the only one. Starlight says, this is in my top 3 for sure. Huey wants to know, what are your other 2? She says, Charleston Chew and Bit O' Honey. He says, those are the 3 worst candy bars in the history of candy. She laughs. I want to know what your top 3 are, Billy.
Okay. I love Baby Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
Snickers.
Mm-hmm.
I like Bit of Honey too. I hate the way they say Bit O' Honey. It's Bit of Honey.
Bit of Honey.
Now,
okay.
Now, I do like Reese's too, but Reese's is like its own subcategory, dude.
Yeah, because there's a bunch of them. Yeah.
They've got too much. I don't know. So Reese's is also in the top 5, but I occasionally like the Almond Joy because I don't like things that are, that is Almond Joy is so sweet, but sometimes it's really good just occasionally. Just once an occasion, it's kind of okay.
Mm-hmm. I like the Easter Reese's peanut butter cup eggs.
Yes, I just had that for the first time this year. Those are fantastic.
Yeah, the ratio of the chocolate to peanut butter is perfect on those for me. I really like that.
It's almost as good as the Big Bar. Have you had the Big Bar that breaks into like 8 or 9 pieces?
Mm-mm.
I think that in the big premium bar, it uses a different quality peanut butter that's even better.
Okay.
And I always just if you want it, you just chuck it in your refrigerator, and there you go.
Okay. In the absence of the above peanut butter cup egg, the regular peanut butter cups,
Sure.
and then Snickers. Those are so. I have 2. Reese's taking up 2 of the top spots.
Well, and my thing is, I've seen the Charleston Chew. I don't know what that is though.
Mm-hmm.
And but the Bit of Honey, I was excited. I'm like, yeah, I like Bit of Honey. Bit of Honey's pretty top one for me.
I don't think I've ever had one.
3. It's just a type of taffy. It's just got an unusual flavor to it.
Mm-hmm.
The flavor is just sometimes it's a little bit tougher taffy, but it's the flavors. I don't even know. It's kind of honey-esque flavor. Very interesting. Good flavor though.
Okay. Huey laughs and says, "That's it. You're sick in the brain." Starlight laughs, and there's a pause in the conversation. She asks Huey, "Hey, what's up with MM's OCD?" Huey says, "Wait, what OCD?" She says, when he changes lanes, he taps the steering wheel 3 times. He stirs the coffee 3 times. The antiseptic wipes. Really? You haven't noticed any of this? Huey says, "No, but wow, you're right."
We pointed this out the first time we met him about his desk.
Yeah.
But we didn't say OCD, but we said very organized.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this also kind of shows how Huey is alone, even within the boys.
How so?
Well, I mean, he's emotionally withdrawn so much from he's with these guys, but he has no connection with them for the most part. Their bonding moment has passed when he helped save them. But this season, Huey is kind of alone I feel emotionally. He's just because he's around people. You know how guys are. Sometimes you can be alone and be with people.
Yeah.
Especially, you're not talking about, especially Huey's gone through so much trauma. They all have, but these guys have, these guys are a bit more used to dealing, they're a bit more used to being covered in brains line of work than Huey is, I think.
Is it possible that sometimes you're so close to people that you don't notice it?
Yes.
And somebody's got to point it out to you?
I think so. I think it's a big part of it too. You see the changes are slow, or they're so small over time that you don't notice how bad it's gotten over time.
She says, yeah, it's just control over things he can't control, I guess. She scoffs, then says, "I should be the last one talking about that." Says the girl who's just stress eating all day. She throws the candy bar at a trash can about 20 feet away and sinks the shot. Huey freaks out, yelling, "Oh my God." She shushes him.
He's super soaked. Yeah, he's excited by that one.
He is.
I get it. It's a great
He tells her, "Was so good. That was really good. I enjoyed that." He then tries to make the same shot and fails. He says, it's harder than it looked.
That's me.
Yeah.
I'm terrible at sports at hitting things.
Yeah. She doesn't seem to think so. She's like, is it really? Is it harder than it looked? He says, I think, actually, I think I went the other way with the eating. I think I lost like 7 pounds. I did not have 7 to lose. She says, well, I sleep about 4 hours a night. He says, I wish I slept 4 hours a night. I mean, I'm too busy chewing my fingernails down to the quick. I don't know what a quick is, but she says, here's one. I walk around the 7 tower with this knot in my gut, just wondering if Homelander is waiting around every corner to kill me. It's like living with a loaded gun in my face. Huey asks, do you feel that way now? She shakes her head. He smiles. Fast forward, and they are in her room, and they are getting it on. He reaches to turn out the light, and she stops him, saying, I got it. Her eyes light up, and she dims the light a bit with her powers. We go to another interview, just like the one at the beginning of the episode. This woman is saying, love is a leap of faith. Like, my last boyfriend was obsessed with Ed Sheeran. Yeah, I know, but he was obsessed. She names a couple of the songs and says, the whole catalog. So he asked me to get one of these with him. She exposes a tattoo on her left shoulder. It's a hideous tattoo of Ed Sheeran.
I don't know who Ed Sheeran is, but it is a hideous tattoo of a man.
He is a musician from the UK.
Okay.
I believe. I don't know if he's from Ireland specific, like the part of Ireland that's not part of UK, but I know he's from the islands.
Over there. In that vicinity.
Yes.
That would all fit inside of Texas, by the way.
She goes on with her story. 2 weeks later, he broke up with me. I hate Ed Sheeran. That was a bad choice, getting that tattoo.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's a bad tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and again, the Ed Sheeran thing, it's like I only looked because he is a singer, but I only know this from Amazon's X-Ray, but I didn't dig. I just kind of caught a glimpse. I'm like, I'm not digging. I don't care that much. Mm-hmm. It's a terrible tattoo.
Yeah. Becca's back home checking on the sleeping Ryan. We see Butcher waiting at the bridge. Becca drives back up. She aggressively approaches Butcher, and they go at it. After they are done, we can see her smoking. They're kind of laying in the back of the car. The back door is open. Butcher comments, took your ages to quit. All them little patches, eh? She asks if he wants one. He doesn't. She reaches up with the cigarette in her hand, and he takes his drag anyway. She laughs and says, the beard's new. He says, fancy it, eh? She tells him, I haven't decided yet. He asks how long she's been here. She tells him since she gave birth. He says, hell, how you holding up? She says, yeah, you forget about reading the news or going to a restaurant, smoking pot on the couch and eating Cheetos. I just act like, Carol Brady all day. It's okay. Ryan's happy, and that's what matters. She sits up and turns around, telling him, you're going to like him. He's sweet and very smart and so kind. I know you hate kids and all, but I think that he's pretty. He stops her saying, oh, no, I don't. I don't hate kids. Just, I'm not a very good role model, am I? She asks how Butcher has been. He says, oh, all right. Started a private security company. Weddings, bar mitzvahs. She says, bull. Homelander said you were a man possessed. He said you've been chasing after him for years. He says, well, I thought he killed you. So, yeah, I've been on a bit of a warpath. But on the bright side, I'm sleeping in a basement beneath a pawn shop in East Flatbush. She shakes her head and apologizes. She says, I never wanted that for you.
Who would want that for anybody?
Yeah, seriously. He asks, what was I supposed to do? Let him get away with it? What was I before you? Nothing. And you saved me. And here you've been living in this hole for all this time. And I haven't been here for you. I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to make it up to you from now till the day I die. I swear to God. Back to the road trip with MM, Huey, and Starlight. They're in the car. MM sees them smiling at each other.
Yeah.
Homelander and Maeve are being interviewed on In Depth with Maria Menounos. And this is the Maria Menounos of gas station and movie theater fame. That's the only time I ever see her, is before movie previews start in the theater or one of those gas station screens in a 15-second clip about some nonsense.
Oh, I see now. I haven't been to a theater in so long
Mhm.
that I haven't seen. I didn't realize that she was in there. I do see her on the little on the screens when I get gas, but
Mhm.
I'm like trying. I think I'm just so happy that my tank doesn't take that long to fill up, so I don't have to listen to her for too long. It's either that or this other guy from Cheddar News or something. I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah, or Mario Lopez. I saw him on there one time.
Right? I can't. You can't escape advertising it. Oh gosh.
Mhm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I looked her up her work credits to make sure I wasn't, just kind of downplaying the work she does, right?
Was she E News ever?
She was affiliated with Entertainment Tonight, I think, for a
That
while,
may be that may be what I'm
2008,
thinking. Okay,
if I remember
that may be
correctly.
okay.
And then she was the Human Torch's love interest in the original Fantastic Four
Okay.
movie. She was in Tropic Thunder, and she wrestled in the WWE.
Huh.
Apparently, she's a big wrestling fan.
Wrestling or wrestling?
Wrestling.
Wrestling. All
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Homelander is saying, is the supervillain threat real? 100%. Very real. Maeve says, but the Seven will protect you. Homelander says, that's right. Right. Always listen to Maeve. She always tells the truth. Maeve caught the undertone of that and gives him a look. He has one of his dead-eyed smiles on, not his million-volt smile.
Yeah, it's the
Mhm.
serial killer smile.
Mhm. Yeah. Maria Menounos says, and we're grateful every day. On a related subject, Compound V. Did either of you know about it before the news broke? Homelander says, no, absolutely not. Madeline Stillwell, she lied to us all. Turns out she was a monster. We're just as hurt and upset and confused as everyone else. Maria Menounos changes topics, saying, let's talk about hashtag heroes so white. The numbers are rather startling. 92% of heroes are Caucasian. African American 6%, Latin and Asian each 1%. Why doesn't Vought want diversity? Homelander says, wow, these are real hardballs, Maria Menounos. He laughs, then responds, but check your facts. Let's take the Seven, for example. We've got A-Train. He's a black man. We've got we've got Black Noir. He he doesn't identify with any race, really. So they're covered. So he's like the wild card.
Oh.
That's a interesting way to try to deflect the question.
What are the odds that Maria Menounos would ever ask a quote unquote hard hitting question of any celebrity other than what their favorite color is? I'm assuming this is why she's on gas station televisions.
Yeah.
I'm assuming
Seriously.
now. I say this like this is an insult. I'm assuming it's not. She makes. We know who she is, so she's at least famous. So I'll give her that. So.
Mm. Another thing about what Homelander just said, he doesn't identify with any race. What the heck does that mean?
Well, are we really allowed to even ask questions like that anymore?
No. I'm not talking about it.
No, 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 no. I'm just teasing.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
just kidding.
I'm talking about
But
in the context of Black Noir as an
no,
individual, right?
right. I don't know. I don't know what he does to identify. I'm like you. What does that even? I don't know what that even means.
Well,
But
I'm more
well,
looking at it from, does he change races? Like legitimately? Like is it multiple people?
again, I, I,
Do you have to tread
I
lightly here to not ruin something?
yes,
Oh,
I do. So
okay.
I won't say anything.
All right.
but but if the ratio of Americans of African descent are 12%, the Seven needs just one more, right, to make it
Mm-hmm.
up to from 6% to 12%. So
Yeah.
and we don't even. But I don't know. So we don't. If without knowing what Black Noir is, we might be at that number.
Yeah, but then you're not having Asians or Hispanics in there.
Well, yeah, we had a chance to let a guy of some ethnicity
He
that was
looks
not.
he
There
looks
was a blind
some type
spot.
of
Oh,
Asian. Yeah.
that's what. Okay,
Yeah.
when you say it like that, I'm reminded of the cable guy. They were Asians.
Okay.
Sorry.
Homelander chuckles and says, and we have a hero. Maria Menounos says, really? We can see the camera change focus from Maria Menounos to Maeve. She knows what's coming. Maria Menounos says, "Who in the 7 is?" Homelander uses his hand to motion at Maeve and says, "Queen Maeve." Mm-hmm. Scoop for you, Maria. The camera zooms in on Maeve and she smiles. Props to her for keeping it together as this piece of private information is made public. It should have been her choice to reveal it if she wanted to. You know?
I know it.
Mhm.
Great job, Maeve, for keeping it cool, but man, Homelander, good gracious.
Yeah.
What a terror. What a terrible individual he is.
Yeah. Homelander says Maeve here is a strong, proud, with a beautiful girlfriend, Elena, Hispanic girlfriend. And I, for one, am so proud of her. The interview has ended and Homelander is walking down the hall at the studio. Maeve bursts out of a room and asks Homelander, "Where's Elena? What'd you do to her?" He says, "She's fine. What did I do to her? I set her free. And you've been living in the shadows so long. Doesn't it feel good to be out in the sun?" Maeve gets in front of him and says, "Hold on. Me and Elena are just friends." He says, "Oh, just friends?" She says, "Yes." He continues, "Because see, I heard you two talking on the phone and it sounded a little more than friends. So I did a little digging and imagine my surprise." He walks off and she follows, saying, "Okay, we had a relationship once." He's skeptical. He says, once, a relationship. Relationship. That's such a vague word. What does that mean to you? What, long walks in the park? A shoulder to cry on? Each other raw? She says, "I ended the relationship when I joined the 7, when I met you." He explodes, raising his fist as if to hit her, and yells, "Stop lying to me." He unclenches his fist and he puts his hands together, palm to palm. He says, "I am at my wits' end with the lies." Maeve comes clean, saying, "We're together." Homelander asks, "And you love her?" She nods. He says, I see. Well, best of luck to you both." She tilts her head, gauging him as if in surprise. He asks, "Oh, is it so hard to believe that I want you two to be happy and in love? Honestly, Maeve, I am really, really happy for you." He gives her a little smile and walks off. You think that smile was real?
I watched it again. He starts off sincere, but by the time he gets to the "I am really" part, I'm really, really proud. The light dies in his eyes.
Okay.
It's pretty cold.
So, also, I wanted to see what your thoughts are on the way Homelander is straightening out the 7.
Yeah, I don't really know because here he is. He's already lying to the public. We got a black man in here. It's like, well, you just fired the black guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, it's his, but he's obviously made it clear from last episode that he is going to be calling on who I'm bringing in, who comes in, who leaves.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we have not heard Mr. Edgar's 2 cents on this. So apparently he's okay with this because, again, Edgar has pointed out that this is a pharmaceutical company,
Right.
not a superhero club.
Homelander sees a TV tuned into the Vought News Network. Stormfront is giving a speech to the crowd she told to gather in the Vought Square. The headline says, "Super terrorists are coming." She is saying, "And have you seen Vought's Saving America ads? Don't they make you feel all warm and squishy and patriotic?" Homelander doesn't like seeing this. The show now goes on location to the Vought Square. People are wearing Stormfront shirts and are holding up signs. One says, "I want my Compound V." Another has a picture of Stormfront and it says, "We believe." Yet another says, "Proud Storm Chaser." Another, "Chasers Unite." Another, "Stormfront Protect Us." Another, "Citizens Need Heroes." Another, "Who will they kill next?" And finally, "Remember the 59.
I also love the fact that the most commonly seen theme on all protesters is "We believe." What do we believe?
The message.
Okay. There we go.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
Stormfront is saying, Vought wants you to feel calm and safe so that you continue to buy their shitty toys and drinking their shitty energy drinks and going to see their shitty movies. She's inciting the crowd. They're booing. She says, "But maybe we shouldn't feel so calm or safe. One super terrorist has already gotten through. More will come." In the crowd, we can see a woman forcing her way through the crowd, trying to get to Stormfront. It's Kimiko. Stormfront continues. And for all we know, these maniacs could already have flown over our borders and be standing next to you, just waiting for their chance to kill us all. So what are we going to do? We're going to sit around and cross our fingers that Homelander's going to save us when he's not on Maria Menounos?
Wow.
The crowd is cheering. Kimiko's getting closer. She's seeing flashes of when Stormfront killed her brother. Stormfront goes on. Or will we demand that Vought do better? The crowd cheers again. Kimiko has another flash of Stormfront punching her on the roof of the building where they fought in the last episode. Stormfront continues. That our government do better. What do you say? The crowd cheers again. Another flashback for Kimiko, this one of Stormfront snapping her brother's wrist and then his neck. That's that terrible scene.
Oh, that's awful.
Yeah. Kimiko begins to lunge forward and someone grabs her hand. It's Frenchie. He tells her, no, Moncour, please. You will not survive. Kimiko looks at him. The crowd is cheering Stormfront's name. We hear the sound of lightning crackling. Stormfront is flying in the air. Man, it's too bad this isn't Storm from the X-Men. Outside of Magneto, she's my favorite mutant. Would have been really cool to have a good version of her in this show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
And a diverse option as well, being the African goddess that she is.
Well, you hit two things but they're without African and goddess. So we have, black and female. Dude, that's a double whammy. And she's fantastic too.
Yeah, but she's not disabled, so she's not checking all the boxes. But man, don't talk about Storm like that. That's my favorite, man.
I like Storm. Strangely enough, I think the guy I always like, the one I like the most, were two of them. I like Nightcrawler and Colossus, man. I love those guys.
Yeah, Colossus is pretty cool.
Because they were just personality-wise, they were just cool fellas, personality-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet guys.
Nightcrawler I wasn't as into compared to some of the other ones. Yeah. What about him?
I love Nightcrawler. I don't know. He's just so kind. He's just so driven to help people. There's something he just really so, the bad thing is, of course, that he looks like a demon and he's not. Yeah. He's a super sweet individual and he looks demonic and he's not,
Mm-hmm. Okay. The effects here when Stormfront's lifting off the ground, they look really good. The lightning crackling.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks amazing.
Mm-hmm. A fan yells, "Marry me, Stormfront." Frenchie is telling Kimiko, let's go home. She's looking up at Stormfront, knowing she can't reach her as she is flying in the air. Stormfront takes off. I mean, she just goes flying.
Yeah, she does.
Kimiko gives Frenchie a bad look and storms off. Do you think she's blaming him that she didn't get the opportunity to attack Stormfront? Because he grabbed her wrist?
I don't think so, though. She's angry, most assuredly. And the PTSD flashbacks about her brother's death really shook her. But I think she knows that she wouldn't have stood a chance. But I think that's why she's really angry.
Okay.
Is that I think she realizes that Frenchie's right.
Okay. MM and company have arrived at the address written on the back of the Budweiser Liberty ad. Huey knocks on the door and a woman answers. He asks, is there a woman living here who used to go by the name of Liberty? The woman's demeanor changes when she hears that name. She looks around, then abruptly says no and closes the door in Huey's face without another word. Huey says, okay, we have the right address, right? MM looks at the paper again, confirming it is the right address, then steps forward and knocks on the door. The woman opens the door and tells him, please leave. MM says, miss, I'm sorry if my friend offended you, but we just want to ask just a couple of questions. She says, just leave me alone. I took your damn money. I signed your damn papers, and I have kept my mouth shut. MM says, you think we're not with Vought, okay? We just want to learn what we can about Liberty. That's it. The woman says, then y'all are just some damn fools. MM says, it sounds like you know her or knew her. The woman again tries to get them to leave, saying, you're wasting your time, okay? She goes to close the door again. MM says, miss, hear us out. If after that you want us to leave, we'll go. She takes a breath and thinks, then says, go ahead. MM says, my father was a lawyer, small time, very smart, and aggressive. When I was a kid, something happened between my family, which I'd rather not talk about, but it was bad. Now, see, my dad, he believed in the law and that nobody was above it, not even Vought. So he went to work. He got after their asses. He had one of those, remember those little black typewriters, manual ones with the keys? I'd go to sleep at night to all that noise, my father banging away at that thing. Wake up the next morning, he'd still be hammering away all night. But see, Vought wasn't about to let this one black man put his foot on their necks. So they hired teams of lawyers, paid off judges. But my father never gave up. Till one morning I woke up and I didn't hear those keys anymore. Just found him hunched over that typewriter, dead at 55. Now we finally get to see the underlying motivation for MM and why he's willing to put up with all this nonsense from Butcher to get back at Vought. This is a seriously deep wound.
Yes, absolutely. And in the comics, this would still line up with everything I know too. Because in the comics, his mother worked for Vought. She was exposed to V, Compound V.
Oh, okay.
And then MM and his brother are the only soups because MM is a soup. We talked about that in the comics. But him and his brother were born with V in their veins. The rest are manufactured soups, if I understand it correctly. MM and his brother were the only ones that were born natural, because not quite naturally because the mom was exposed to it, but in a more natural, they were exposed in the womb.
I see. Okay. Huey and Starlight are looking at each other. The woman says, "I'm so sorry for your loss." MM says, "I'm not here for your sympathy, but I am going to tell you that his fight got passed down to me, and I'm going to make Vought pay for what they did to him. And ma'am, I gather what they've done to you as well." She struggles with the choice for a moment, but ultimately lets them in. She says, "I mean, it's been 48 years. What good is dredging all this stuff up now going to do?" MM says, "Honestly, we don't know, but we still need to hear it." She sighs and sits down. Now, I'm going to give another warning here. This is a tough story to get through. It's difficult. So if you don't like violent stuff, then don't listen to this part. She begins her story. "I tried to get people to listen. Lord knows, so many times. I tried. But a little black girl accusing a white superhero of murder in these parts?" MM nods and says, "Yeah." The woman, her name's Valerie, sighs. She continues, "It was during one of those summer rains that you just knew was coming by the smell in the air. We get a glimpse of a car stopped in the rain. The wipers are going. There is someone laying over the hood of the vehicle. Something is in the middle of the road." Valerie says, "I was 11, asleep in the back seat of my folks' Ford. My brother Myron, he was driving. Myron slams on the brakes. We can hear him say, 'What's the trouble, ma'am?' We hear Liberty aggressively say, 'Get out.' Myron says, 'Hey.' Liberty has grabbed Myron and pulled him out of the car. She has him by the front of his jacket. She says, 'Your car was involved in a robbery tonight.' Myron, obviously scared, says, 'No, it wasn't. I had it. I don't know nothing about any robbery.' Liberty says, 'Just confess.' Valerie is in the back seat of the car. She is watching, but Liberty doesn't know she's there. Liberty starts beating up Myron. She knocks him onto the hood of the car. He asks her, 'Why are you doing this to me, lady? Ain't you supposed to be a hero?' Liberty says, 'I am a hero for killing a piece of like you.' She then punches him extremely hard. It's really difficult to watch.
Yeah.
Like blood goes splattering across the windshield.
Yeah.
After Liberty leaves, Valerie gets out and walks to see Myron at the front of the car. He's laying on top of the hood. Somehow he's still breathing, but his face has been destroyed by the punch.
Yeah.
Present day, Valerie starts crying. She says, "I wanted to go to the police, but my folks, they thought it was pointless. So when that man from Vought, when he showed up and he offered us that money, we just took it, $2,000. I did the conversion from 1970, whatever this was, 73 or something, to today, and it's only $13,200 today."
Got it.
Valerie continues, "That is what my brother's life was worth, just $2,000. She's crying. She stands up. "But y'all have got to promise me that you won't tell anybody that I sat here and I talked to you, because if that woman finds out that I open my mouth, she's going to kill me." Huey says, Miss Hunter, that woman, Liberty, nobody's seen her since 1979. I mean, she's probably dead by now. Valerie is surprised. She shakes her head, saying, "Oh, no, no, I." She thinks of something and goes to pick up a newspaper. She finds it and says, "Right here. That's her, right there." She throws the paper on the coffee table and says, "That's Liberty."
Mm.
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
picture on the newspaper is Stormfront.
Yeah.
And in the last episode, you wanted to bring up why she was so callously killing all those people in that apartment building.
Yeah.
Every single person she attacked in that entire sequence wasn't Caucasian.
Yes. She went specifically out of her way to kill the Americans of African descent and anybody else of color.
Yeah.
It looked like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, including Kimiko's brother. I mean, she was already after him anyway, but
yeah, but that was a rough one.
Mm-hmm. Huey, and Starlight all look at each other. Back in the car, Huey is saying, Valerie was just a little girl, and she said it was raining, so she could be wrong. Starlight says she seemed pretty certain. Huey says, yeah, but if Liberty and Stormfront are the same person, then that makes Stormfront like, what, like 70 years old? More?
Now, I'm going to turn to the old Superman thing here. And not just any Superman, but any superhero or person with skin strong enough to take small gunfire and bigger, anything like that, is going to age slower. I mean, think about it. Concrete holds up better than skin. So 70 may be very young for some people like Homelander. He could live thousands of years, man.
Okay.
Due to his invulnerability. And also, like I say, their skin being, that's the big one.
What confuses me is they said Homelander was growing abnormally fast. So is it like accelerated when they're children, then they slow down when they're adults?
I don't know because in this world, the way that we would understand it would be Ryan is going to be the first natural born suit. If I'm not taking that, is that what you're thinking too? That maybe Ryan is only the first of the naturally born soups. I mean, even though
that we've heard of so far.
Yeah, that we know of. So, I mean, so I could understand, especially coming from that genetic strain, why that might take hold real quick. I don't know. It's a good question.
Possibly the most unbelievable thing about her being this age is her advanced use of social media. How many boomers do you know that can use social media this well? Like, she's got an army of meme smiths at her disposal, you know?
Well, the other thing is that that's not necessarily just because some people like I have a cousin who's my father's cousin actually, and so this guy's like 70 something years old, and he's a tech guy.
Okay.
So he's one of these guys that he would like go. He was a civilian, but he would go down. He lived in Corpus for years, I believe, and he would go onto battleships and he would like strip them of all the. A lot of pilots apparently dump tons of MP3s on the hard drives there, and and they use it in their sorties, I guess, when they're flying or whatever. And so he goes and strips all that stuff off there, would put in programs and other things like that. So, some people are just really up on that stuff, even when they're older, and some are not. And especially if she was, this woman is such a good manipulator, and we're going to find out more as the season goes on about her, that she is a master manipulator. So she would be able to use all forms of social media. I think she would see that as her part of what she had to do.
Yeah, the people that I've met that are, and there's always exceptions to everything, but on the whole, people lose touch with new stuff over time.
Yeah. I love technology, but I hate the social media stuff. I don't understand that mechanic. I shouldn't say I don't hate it. I don't know it. I just don't know it. I never cared enough to look into that stuff. And like I say, I love technology like crazy, but I spend a lot of time looking at YouTube, but at the same time, I'm not one of these people that I don't live on my phone all day either. I do spend a lot of time on there if I can, sometimes, but I'm not like these people who are this every second of every day that thing's jammed in their face.
Yeah.
And they know how to use it very well. I'm not faulting them for that, but it's like they need to watch out. And it's, have you heard of the digital dementia?
No. What is it?
It's something to do that they're discovering it in places like in South Korea, places where people have been exposed to technology at a very young age. It's starting to be having a disassociative effect on reality. People are starting to not, having a hard time distinguishing, becoming disassociated. They're having a hard time. They're getting a type of dementia from electronic bombardment, apparently.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
I was
be
looking at that.
careful. You look into that stuff. It's worth looking into.
Mm-hmm. Starlight says, yeah, but who knows what Compound V can do? I mean, maybe she doesn't age like a regular person, okay? Huey says, this is the same Stormfront that just became America's favorite two-fisted soup.
That's a fact.
Starlight nods in affirmation. chimes in saying, and might have popped Raynor's head for getting too close. Both Huey and Starlight are overwhelmed. After a while, Huey leans forward and addresses saying, I didn't know that about your dad. Sounds like he was a real hero. says, I thought so, but nah. He's just a man with a disease. He passed it down to me, and if I'm not too careful, I might end up passing it down to my... He doesn't finish.
Are we talking OCD?
I don't think so. I think he's talking about
Okay.
the Vought thing.
Oh, okay. No, now that I think you're probably right with that there. So yeah, okay, very cool.
Homelander is in the command center at Vought. He's looking at a meme on one of the monitors. It's Stormfront smiling. The text reads, she has no sympathy for b****s. We're about to go through a bunch of memes here. Some of them are good, some of them are
I have one I like. There's
okay.
only one I like. I'll tell you when I get to it.
All right. He flips to the next one. This is a meme of Homelander. There's two pictures. The top one of him smiling. The text reads, tries to save the city. The bottom picture is one of him with a derpy look on his face. The text reads, can't even save his reputation. He clicks again. It's another meme of Homelander. He has his eyes closed. There's a picture of an American flag filling the background behind him. There is the shadow of a soldier behind the flag. The text reads, Saving America, lol. That one's not as good as the other two, I guess.
Yeah, I don't get that.
He keeps clicking. There's one of Black Noir with T. The text, did you hear about Stormfront? The T is scalding, sis. I don't get that one again. Maybe
is it him getting burned by Stormfront?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't get it either. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another one, Stormfront's laughing with her hand on her chest. The text, laughing at Homelander. Okay. Right. Another one is a woman with tears streaming down her cheeks. The text, me receiving the glory of Stormfront's posts. Now, here's one that's pretty famous. It's based on the famous meme of the boyfriend holding his girlfriend's hand, but looking back at the woman in the red dress. You know, his current girlfriend's kind of looking at him just like, what?
And for everyone's information, Comron has gone to the trouble of posting this on my notes so I can see this photo because I wasn't sure what he was talking about. Thank you, by the way. That's a good photo. That's great.
Yeah. And the text overlaid on the image is the word over the boyfriend says everyone. And the word over the old girlfriend is Homelander. And the woman in the red dress has the word Stormfront written on it. So
again,
that meme gets me every time, man. Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Now he starts rapid firing through these, and with each click, he's getting more and more agitated. Another one, there's a woman with binoculars, and there's a picture of Homelander. The text reads, searching for a single to give about Homelander. That one's pretty good.
That's pretty good, dude.
The next one is the Girls Get It Done ad from the campaign by Vought. There's no modifications.
No mod.
Yep. Another one, there's a mushroom cloud. The text is Homelander's mind when he found out a woman is stronger than him. Another one is a picture of Homelander giving his speech at the Believe Expo, where he's floating in the air and his arms are out to the sides. The text, go home, homie, you're drunk.
That's the one I think is funny for some reason. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it is.
Yeah. Oh. There's another one. There's 8 people in a line. They're all on Segway scooters. The text, me and the squad on our way to respect Stormfront. There's a picture of Stormfront in the bottom right of the picture. Another one of Stormfront waving. Text, bye, Homelander. Another one, there's Homelander talking. The text, someone please touch my tiny frowny face. Another one of a burning house.
That's the one that's got me laughing.
Oh, okay. Another one, there's a burning house behind a picture of Stormfront's smiling face. The text overlaid on the fire says Homelander's career. That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Another one of someone on a boat holding up a fish. They've got Stormfront's face pasted over the person that's in the boat. The text over the fish says super terrorist. The meme text reads, caught one for you, Homelander.
Okay, that's pretty good too.
Another one, there's a picture of Homelander with both of his arms up. He's smiling as if greeting a crowd, but he's in a trash can with a bunch of other trash. This one's good. Another one, someone's feeding a pill to a cat.
Been there. I know you have too. Yeah, it's been there, done that.
The hand has the caption, "The internet." The pill is Stormfront content, and the cat says "me" over it.
Okay.
Another one is, it's an exercise studio. There are some women in the picture. The text, "Hating Homelander burns 400 calories an hour." There's another one of a woman looking out the blinds. The text, "When will Homelander actually save us?"
That is a punishing one. That's just ugly. It's just flat out ugly. I love that one.
There's another one of Homelander with a clown wig and a clown nose. No words. There's another one of Stormfront with a ball of electricity between her hands. The text, "Test me." That's in all caps. There's another one with a statue of Jesus, arms reaching out. They've got Stormfront's face pasted over his. The text, "She did that." I'm not sure what that means.
Right.
And here's the final one. There's a picture of the Seven. It's an older one because it has the deep and translucent in it. Starlight is in her traditional family-friendly outfit. And Stormfront's face is pasted over Homelander's, and he has the most prominent position in the center of the shot. He's front and center. The text, "The real leader of the Seven," and
Wow.
"real" is in all caps and underlined.
And
throughout this whole scene, Homelander is getting more and more agitated.
Oh yeah.
In the soundtrack, the strings are building, and we can hear that ringing noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of these memes were pretty good. Some of them are just kind of eh.
Right. Some of them I don't get.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a generational, wording thing.
Probably.
The one with the boyfriend looking back at the other girl when he's walking with his girlfriend, it makes me crack up every time. I don't know, it was just in any context, like whatever they have on there.
It's good. If it's written right, I can get it.
So there's an interesting side story on that picture, though. That was actually one of a series of pictures that were taken by a photographer, and it tells the whole story of this couple. Okay. And I can tell you a little bit more about it if you're interested.
Yo, bring it, dude. Yep. Teach me, master.
All right, well, take it easy. All right, so it's kind of like the story begins with them meeting, and they're falling in love. It shows them going on dates and stuff, and then she gets pregnant and then has a miscarriage, and then they're having relationship problems, and then this picture pops up. They're out and about, and he sees this other girl, and then next he's having an affair with this other girl, and then the girlfriend or the wife, I guess, I think they got married. The wife catches them.
Wow.
I think it gets darker from there. I don't remember if somebody gets murdered or not.
Oh my.
Yeah, I can't remember how it ends, but yeah, it's like it's actually kind of a sad story.
So that's actually a real legitimate picture of an incident on the street?
No, they're actors, and the photographer just kind of had them play out these scenes and took pictures of them. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We changed location to another room in the Vought Tower. Homelander is speaking to Stormfront. He says, "Who the do you think you are? What, you think I don't see it?" He is standing behind her. We can see on her face, she's smiling smugly. He continues his rant. "Trying to undermine me, steal my team?" She rolls her eyes and says, "Hold on a minute." He says, "Let me tell you right now, it won't work. I'm the face of the Seven, not you, me. I still score higher in every demo that counts." Her eyes are wide. She looks like she's trying not to laugh. He lists out the demos: 18 to 34, 18 to 49, 25 to 54. They all love me. He puts his hands on his hips. She says, "Well, congratulations. I mean, this constant need to be loved by everyone is kind of pathetic, but, yay."
And I agree with her.
Yeah.
I honestly agree with her.
Yep. Homelander's not laughing. His eyes light up. He starts walking towards her silently. She stands up and says, okay, calm down. I clearly pushed you a little far. I'm sorry. Look, I'm just trying to help."
Now, I know that she's kind of quick to apologize to calm the situation down. but does she seem scared to you?
No, not in the least.
Not in the least. She seems really together. I like that. And we
Hmm.
both know that, well, you and I both have a thing for, well, you're only as good as the villain, right?
Yes.
And she is a way more fun villain. You know,
Hmm.
she's way more charismatic. She's got a lot more going for her. I like her. And again, Aya Cash, I like her. She's really good in this job. She does a great job of being Stormfront here.
Yeah, I agree. Homelander has calmed down a bit. His eyes aren't glowing anymore. He says, "Really? How? By taking what's mine? Let me tell you something right now. I built this team from the ground up, and there is no way that anyone is going to take it away from me." She says, "You spent $273 million on that Saving America bull, and I am running circles around you with 5 guys on laptops churning out memes. I practically pay them with Arby's gift cards. You can't win the whole country anymore. No one can. So why are you even trying? You don't need 50 million people to love you. You need 5 million people pissed. Emotion sells. Anger sells. You have fans. I have soldiers." It is scary to me how true this is. This is exactly what's happening online today, man.
I agree. It's a really scary statement when you think about it, and to think
Hmm.
that people's lives can be altered by things that are said about them, or things they say. I just that just blows me away, dude.
Yeah. They found out anger is the best way to drive engagement. And unfortunately, it's driving people
It
crazy.
is. Well, here's the other thing. It's like, well, and I don't want to go here yet because we'll see this. I'll bring this. I just need to put a pin in this and remember this for later in this season when we get more into her,
Hmm.
because of we know so much. We know more about her, you know. So I don't want to say anything. So
Okay. We'll move on.
yeah.
Yeah. She continues, "Look, I know that you probably won't believe this. I think that you are the best of us." She takes her hand and is running it along his shoulders as she's walking behind him. She says, "I think that you are everything we should be. You just need a little help connecting with your audience. You know, change with the times. God knows I did."
Hey, you know how that move right there where she walks behind him? That's very Madeline Stillwell.
Hmm.
All that same kind of, but it's also kind of is that an overlooked Easter egg about knowing how to change with the times? That's a revelation kind of at this point now.
Yeah, I mean, we already, I guess you could read into it that it's a confirmation that it is actually Stormfront and Liberty are the same person, right?
Right. That's
Hmm.
kind of how I see it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. He says, "I don't need help connecting with my audience. Thank you." He turns and begins to walk out. She says, "Okay, well, just know I'm always here. Door is always open for anything." He walks out. Becca pulls up to the bridge where Butcher has been hiding. She is here during the day this time, as opposed to night the previous times. Butcher comes out of the bushes when she arrives. He says, "You're late. Where's the kid?" She gets out of the car, but she looks lost and confused. Butcher says, "Babe, we got to get in the truck or we'll miss our chance." She says, I'm not leaving." Butcher says, "What are you talking about? Of course you are. Grab the kid and let's go." She says, "You don't really want Ryan to come with us."
I really feel for him here. As salty as he could be, did try to take down this, take this child with him, and I want him to, but it's like that's got to be so hard.
Yes, but he has had a major miscalculation here, I think. And
Yes.
we'll talk about it a little bit after she says her piece here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He says, "Of course I do. I said I'd take him, didn't I?" She says, "And I wanted to believe you." He walks closer to her and says, "Then believe me. Now come on, we've got to get a shift on." She tells him, "Listen, if the 3 of us leave, you're going to find a way to get rid of him. I know it. It won't be in an obvious way, and it won't be right away, but you will." He tries to tell her again he won't. She says, "Billy, I know you. I know you better than anybody. And I saw it in your face last night. I see it now." Butcher says he's a $1 billion piece of Vought property. They are not going to let him go. So this is what I'm talking about right here.
Yeah.
Butcher only cares about her. He's not factoring in the fact that Ryan, the child that she's been raising for the last 8 years, that is half her, like they were probably married a shorter amount of time than she has been raising this boy, who is a part of her.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So he's now trying. I mean, it's almost to the point you can see with his mentality that he never believes that they could have him anyway. And what makes him think that she's going to leave him for Butcher? It's just unreasonable.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely unreasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She starts to shake her head and cry. Butcher says, "You and me, Becca. You and me. We've got a chance. Babe, it's Ryan they care about, not us." So, I mean, he's willing to sell the boy out, just to have her. She says, "Yeah, and then what?" And then Vought raises him without a mother, right? Then we have Homelander all over again. Then there's two assholes in this world. Butcher says, "We could disappear, all right? To start again, start a new family." She says, "I have a son." And Butcher messes up. He says, "He's a soup freak." I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. So he really said what he felt here.
Yes.
Like the truth comes out. Typical Butcher. He's just trying to get what he wants, saying what needs to be said to move things along, handling the situation. But ultimately, now that the truth came out, we know she's right about him.
She is right about it, but at the same time, he does have a point. I mean, he does have some points going in his favor. It doesn't trump her being a mother.
Mm-hmm.
It's like she does need to give him some consideration for the fact that, he's spent the past 8 years thinking that she's, Lord knows what, dead or you don't even know. So, I mean, at least give him give him a few moments before you drop this whole thing on him. They should have had this ironed out again before that they wound up at this situation. She should have, it basically, she should have just told him, "I can see right now that you don't believe it," kind of deal. And so I feel for her and I feel for him. I see both sides, and I particularly feel hers because we need that kid raised good.
Yeah. And he seems to be a good boy so far.
He seems to be a good boy.
Yeah.
And we need that to continue.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, we need that to continue. So I agree with her. Even I do see his point, but I agree with her.
Right. Becca's walking away from him. He keeps trying to convince her to come with him. She says, "You were wrong about me. Do you know that? You put me on this pedestal, and the truth is, I never knew how to save you. You were always one bad day away from pounding someone to death in a parking lot."
Wow.
He says, "That's not true." She says, "Billy, he me. And when I found out I was pregnant, I went to Vought. I didn't come to you. I didn't come to you because I was scared, because I knew that you'd chase after him and you would seek revenge, and it wouldn't be good for anybody." Butcher's getting emotional. He tells her, "I love you." She's crying. She tells him she loves him. She says, "But the hate that you carry and the warpath that you're on, it started so long before me, I can't." She hugs him, gives him a kiss on the cheek, and walks back to the car. He tries to tell her he's not leaving without her. She's begging him to leave. She holds up an alarm button. She says, "Every guard in this damn place is going to be here in 60 seconds. You have to go." She gets in the car and apologizes, then drives off.
Wow. That's a tough scene.
Cold-blooded.
It's, yeah. And I mean, because I feel for both, again, because this is, imagine this from, the thing from Butcher's standpoint is that he's a goal-oriented figure, and here he is at the goal of everything he's been planning so far, and she up and left.
Yeah.
I mean, that's harsh. I mean, it's not wrong. That's got to have a huge wow,
Yeah. Annika is in the analytics room working. She sees some footage of Butcher scaling the wall into the Vought compound with Becca. Black Noir is there and he sees it. He tilts his head, just like he's acquiring his target.
Yes, it's like a dog. Little, so get that little, when they hear something, they kind of tilt that head, or they see something.
Back in the city, Huey and Starlight are walking down the street. He gives her an almond joy, telling her it's a small token from the trip. He also informs her that John Wayne Gacy used to give those out to kids when he was a birthday clown.
I love Huey, man. That's what a great line.
Yeah, it's pretty witty. Yeah.
It's really good.
She says, whatever, I still love them. She thanks him for letting her go on the trip. She says, it was fun until it got so horrible. Huey says, yeah, what can I say? It's my specialty. She laughs.
It's becoming his specialty, that's for sure.
He tells her, well, listen, if you're ever in the mood for another Almond Joy, just shoot me a text. He laughs and says, that came out so gross. I'm sorry. She says, Huey, we can't do that again. He says, no, we can't. Why though? I mean, this is good. She tells him, but that's just it. I mean, we can't afford to feel good or to feel safe or to let our guard down. He says, you can't go through this on your own. She shakes her head and says, we're all alone. That's the truth. He thinks it doesn't have to be like that. She gives him a kiss, then tells him goodbye. She walks away.
No, the other ouch. Goodbye.
Yeah.
See you later. Goodbye. Ouch. And again, the parallels, man. This is just straight up the exact. This scene just played out. Is a little bit kinder here, but with Butcher and Becca and Annie and Huey, it's almost the same thing. See ya.
Yeah. Back to back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another interview with a woman. She is saying, I believe the secret to a great relationship is to be willing to do anything for your man. Anything. She pauses and then says, I'm a feminist, but I'm also very sexual. The camera changes views, and we can see that the Deep is sitting in on these interviews. The woman continues, and I don't see that as contradictory. What's wrong with giving pleasure and receiving it? Creepy Carol says, thank you for coming in, Gianna. Yeah, we appreciate your candor. The Deep, appearing quite taken with Gianna, stands up and says, thank you so much. Gianna tells him, anytime. It was really great meeting you. Really great. The Deep, mesmerized, says, so great.
I love that despite all the trouble this guy's in, he cannot drop this horn dog routine. he just can't help himself, man. He's so, oh my word. I love this. He's always great for a laugh.
Yeah. As soon as the door closes, the Deep turns around and tells Carol, her, Gianna, I choose her. I mean, she's the one, no question. Carol says, no, she isn't. The Deep says, wait, what? She was like hands down the winner. It was not even a contest. Carol says, it's Cassandra. The Deep says, Cassandra? The one with hair and the creepy skeletons hugging each other's story? Carol says, yes, that's your wife. The Deep lets out a sigh and says, oh, but I thought I got to choose. Carol says, you do. And you're choosing Cassandra. Congratulations. How is this happening?
Oh, and I agree with the Deep. Not about Gianna, but the skeleton hugging girl is even more creepy than Carol. Like,
yeah, she was red on the meter. She was, yeah.
The glycosometer.
Yeah.
She was like in the red. Yeah, she was in the 11 zone. She's past 10, and I did say murder suicide earlier, right? About that girl.
Did. Yes, you did.
Okay, here we go. That's enough. All right.
Yeah. The Deep says, yeah, but I mean, Gianna, Carol interrupts saying, is lovely. She's lovely. She's a valued member of the collective. But this marriage isn't about satisfying your base desires. It's about rehabilitating your image and getting you back in the 7. That is what you want, isn't it? The Deep looks conflicted.
To put it mildly, yeah.
Yeah. Homelander enters the cabin where Doppelganger is pretending to be Madeline Stillwell.
Oh, this is going to get uncomfortable really quickly.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, Madeline greets him saying, there you are. I was beginning to worry. She walks up and puts her hand on his face saying, oh, I missed you. She offers him a glass of milk, asking, are you thirsty? She puts 2 fingers in the glass and asks him if he wants some. He's unresponsive. She says, aw, I want you so bad. She reaches for his junk and he pulls back. She goes and puts the glass down on a table, then comes back asking if he's okay. Then she asks, would you like me to be someone else? I can be whoever you want. She reaches for him again. He slaps her hand away. He says no and backs away from her. He says, I don't need anyone but myself. Doppelganger transforms into Homelander and says, "Like what you see? See how hot you are? Come on, how much do you want this? How much?" Doppelganger talks dirty to him. And I'm not going to write that stuff down.
Thank you.
Yeah. Homelander lets him go on for a while. Doppelganger says, "You're so special, the most special man on the planet. Everybody loves you. Everybody. Their love is your strength." Homelander puts his hand behind Doppelganger's head and says, "You're pathetic. I don't need everyone to love me. I don't need anyone. I don't need you." He lifts him off the ground and begins to strangle him with both hands. He snaps his neck and drops the body to the ground. And the episode ends. Now, this whole "I don't need anybody," is this the influence of Stormfront we're seeing when she said that you're pathetic for caring what people think about you?
Oh, man. Well thought out. I didn't even think about that.
I just thought of it. I didn't process it earlier.
That could very well be. That could be, that could be just the foreshadowing of him starting to maybe realize that. You're right. That could very well be. Mm-hmm. She could be having I mean, I don't want to say a positive impact because they're both really terrible people, but for the lack of a better phrase, a positive impact on him.
Yeah. Well, she's definitely moving the needle, right?
Yeah.
Of his behavior. Yeah.
Oh, what's that begs the question to me now as well. Then do you see her having been introduced here as a control mechanism from Edgar?
Ooh, that's a really great question.
Because it just now fit with something that you just said popped in my head, made me feel like that. I don't know how it was, but she can fulfill both roles, and of course we also have some foreknowledge of coming up stuff, but she can be there in all ways for him that Stillwell could not.
Right.
Because she was merely mortal.
Right. I'm still not sure what the motivations are behind Mr. Edgar putting her there, or whether Mr. Edgar made that decision, or if he was told he had to put her there.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe this is an Edgar move.
Okay.
Because remember when she introduced herself, she was introducing herself on that live stream, and that was the Stan Edgar moment.
True, but as far as everybody knows, Stormfront's just a suit.
That's true. So I don't know. That's a good question.
Well, we're going to find out later. I don't want to spoil it now. But in a couple episodes, we're going to find out another piece of information about her.
Yeah, she's a fascinating one.
Yeah,
I really like her character and awful. Like I said, even though she is a really villainous person, she's a great villain.
Yeah, she's good. Yeah,
she's a good villain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So, any standout moments for you this episode?
I got quite a few. Even though it was a more talky expo moment, those are sometimes needed. But Starlight and Homelander in the elevator, dude, that was scary. And Starlight was great, and she's becoming so strong. Mm-hmm. I just really like seeing that with her.
Yeah.
And the noir with Erica stuff, the handwritten stuff with Butcher. I love that scene. It's so weird. It's like it's almost like that's why I get this childlike vibe, because he shows the woman. It's like I show the woman the picture, and she gets me the information. Mm-hmm. It's like very childlike. It's very weird. It's very, very trippy. So again, I like that they keep so much of him as an enigma, but I'm really eager to get into who he is.
Yes,
I hope we get into who he is, mm-hmm. And also the road trip with Huey, and Anna is great stuff, especially with and
finding out more about him, right?
Yes, and it's all such a good time until the accident just slams the door on that time, and you feel that door. That's powerful. I mean, that's great. That's a great cinema. Mm-hmm. For a television show. That's a good moment there. Yeah. And I like seeing Huey and her together, even though it doesn't seem to be permanent yet. I hope they're back together. But I love Stormfront. She's evil. She's wonderful. And the reveal of her is quite brutal, but still amazingly done and amazingly powerful. And it adds another layer to her menace.
Yeah, because she was already so bad after she killed Kenji. Yeah. But then this hate crime in particular was so brutal.
Well, it's subtle too. It's subtle while not being subtle. It's
what do you mean subtle?
Well, there's no subtleness to it, but she realizes that I can get away with doing this in public. and blame someone else. As long as I kill everyone that sees me, it's all good.
Oh, you're talking about the modern day, the thing in the apartment building.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, the scene, that, from her, to that. So yeah, but all these layers to her. She's an like I said, I love her. I don't love her. I love her as a villain. Yeah.
Okay.
What about you? What about your standouts?
And I think you covered most of them via overlap. I didn't
Cool.
really have too many that stuck out to me. I did particularly enjoy when they were singing together. That was a really nice, wholesome scene, Huey and Starlight. I really enjoyed learning more about MM.
The dry wiping. That's amazing. You're not dry wiping, are you?
Yeah, I like seeing, I don't know what it is about like seeing the OCD aspects of it. Like I'm not that bad, but like, I don't know. I just kind of identify with some of his behaviors. So,
like I said, it runs in my family. And so, and my poor nephews, it comes at them from both sides. So yeah, it's like, I totally feel it. Mine's pretty mellow comparatively speaking. So,
yeah. So I don't know. I just feel like a special kinship with that character. So
yeah, me too. And great episode. Another great episode. Yeah. And great episode with you, brother.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, you did good.
Even though it was last minute, man, we were jamming tonight.
Yeah. Got off topic quite a bit at the beginning. Wow. There was some good stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Any final thoughts?
Yeah. No, just a great episode. Looking forward to this. I just enjoying it. This is a great season. This season 2 is so good.
It is. Yep. We thank you all for joining us today.
Again, we really like to thank you for taking the time to be with us, and we've had a really great time talking about the topic today.
If you would like to support our show, you can find us at HorseFrogProductions.com, where you can find our Patreon link. Depending on the platform you're listening from, it may also be in the episode description.
And if you'd like to contact us through email, it's at contact@horsefrogproductions.com.